in order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
In my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations. America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Eric Malcolm.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle? You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got it's me now. Hear my truth now. Yeah. I'm here to speak and make it clear. I'm sorry, y'all, for all I've done, but I'm not the only one in a dark place. I told some lies, but I'm not the only one. We all got secrets under the sun. In the shadows, we played the game. Now I'm standing here taking the blame. A lot of y'all was at the freak off too. So don't put it all on me, that's just the truth. I've been up and down this road, trying to find my peace. Confessions of a man without a relief. Oh, now, hey. In the mirror, I saw the truth, hiding in plain view. I'm coming clean now, this burden to undo. We were all there dancing shadows in the night, acting wrong when we knew what was right. But deep inside, there's more you must see. In this room of mirrors, it's not just me. I walk this path with heavy chains, trying to shed those sins, erase the stains. I've seen the highs and the crushing lows. That's how it goes. Yeah. Now I'm standing here, hard on my sleeve, trying to clear the air, let the demons relieve. Every wrong turn and every mistake led me to this moment, let my soul quake. Plays a part in the shadows deep, lost in the game. It's promises to keep.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. All right. With that all being said, let's get into it. Let's see who's in here. Okay, Claudette. Now, Claudette, you sent me an email, beloved, saying that you didn't think that we could see your comments. And that's what I was thinking. I see your comments all the time. So clearly we can see you, beloved. Okay. All right, shout out to Claudette, Pearly, Walter is in here. We the people, above all that drama, Metasimplical, Softly Love, Sandra. All right, let's get into it. Mary, Miss Cookies in the house. Okay, Queen, Wife, Mom is here. Terry Hartfield, Kimberly France, DJ Robinson. Okay, so let's get into it. Everyone, please get those likes up. Dessa G, I see you, beloved. Juju said the queen is queen, and thank you. Walter is here. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal royals. Let's get into it. It's all nefarious. Okay, that song is very appropriate because in that video that I used, you see a myriad of people at these parties with Diddy hosting. You see a myriad of people. And I'm just wondering now if the Dream was there, because now he's facing the same sort of nefarious allegations as Diddy. Now, this was reported about 2 or 3 hours ago, so let's talk about it. And I do have the 60-page lawsuit. Okay, so let's talk about it. Hit songwriter The Dream sued for GrAPE and physical abuse. Like I told you guys earlier, these lawsuits come out so frequently, all of these allegations, that you can barely or scarcely keep up. Okay, you can scarcely keep up. So let me just real quick, let me add something to this thumbnail real quick, beloveds, okay? And for those of you also who missed the morning live, just to let you know, for FYI, YouTube blocked that video because I used footage from MTV where I showed Diddy and his daughters performing. Was it MTV or BET? One of them. Anyway, so they blocked it. So now it is back up. I had to edit that part out. Okay, so it is back up. All right. With that all being said, let's get into the nefariousness of it all. Okay, hold on. I just want to add on here. I told you all I might be a few minutes late because I was trying to get the documents at the time. So now that we have those, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. So let me just add this one more thing to my thumbnail, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, almost there, beloveds. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. And I also want to thank those of you who contribute to the channel. I appreciate you. Those who send your cash apps and all of that. I don't always shout out my cash apps. The people that send their cash apps or whatever contributions. But I want to thank you all because the Queen works hard. All right, and so let me go ahead and change this real quick. I thought I was done for the day. I really thought I was done for the day. Okay, so, all right, there we go. Let me go ahead and X out of here. All right, so let's get into it. Now, so I'm going to, first of all, give you all the report that Rolling Stone put out. We're going to talk about that briefly, and then we'll get into the full court docs. And it's a 60-page lawsuit. 60 pages. All right. With that all being said, here we go. Hit songwriter. I said hitman. Hit songwriter The Dream sued for GrAPE and physical abuse. Now, Grammy winner accused of abusive, violent, and manipulative relationships filled with physical assaults, violent sexual encounters, and horrific psychological manipulation. So it says The Dream, the prolific producer and songwriter behind hits like Umbrella, Single Ladies, Put a Ring on It, and Baby, has been sued for GrAPE, sex trafficking, and sexual battery in a lawsuit filed in federal court on Tuesday. Now, in the suit that was filed in the U.S. District Court, Central District of California, Chanez Mangro, I hope I'm saying her name right, Chanez Mangro, professionally known as Chani Monroe, alleges that in 2015, Dream, whose real name is Terrius Gistido Diamants, I see why he calls himself The Dream. Okay, that all makes sense. Says that he used his stature as a close collaborator with artists like Rihanna and Beyonce and lured the young and vulnerable artists into an abusive, violent, and manipulative relationship filled with physical assaults, violent sexual encounters, and horrific psychological manipulation. Now, Monroe claimed that, among other allegations, that Justilde Diamants had forced her, I'm just going to call him The Dream because his name is nefarious, okay, said that he forced her to drink excessive amounts of alcohol, choked her multiple times, and at one point recorded sexual accounts or acts with her, and then used the existence of the recording to threaten Miss Mangro into silence. Now, here's what I want you all to pay attention. Here's what I want you all to pay attention. How many times have we heard this? We didn't just hear this with Diddy. We've heard some of this with Epstein. We've heard some of it with R. Kelly. We've heard some of it with Harvey Weinstein. So this seems to be a bit commonplace in the industries of Hollywood and music. Okay, wouldn't you say so? And I told you all before that they talk about, you know, people have come out and spoken about a lot of these nefarious things that go on. DJ Robinson said, we appreciate the hard work you put in, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay, this is also nefarious. Now, here we have the same allegations. Now, I'm not saying they're true and right at this point, they're allegations, but nonetheless, the fact that the same people, I mean, that different people are saying the same thing about a myriad of artists and actors and stuff. Now, goes on to say that Dream remains one of the most sought after hit makers in the music industry, having worked with Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige, Justin Bieber, and Mariah Carey, amongst others. He's won 8 Grammy Awards on 21 nominations, and most recently produced several songs on Cowboy Carter, including Levi's Jeans with Post Malone. Now, a rep for him did not immediately respond to a request for comments, but told the New York Times that these claims are untrue and defamatory. I oppose all forms of harassment and have already strived to help people realize their career goals. As someone committed to making a positive impact on my fellow artists and the world at large, I am deeply offended and saddened by these accusations. Okay. So Mangro alleged that she first had contact with the Dream after a childhood friend of his reached out to her at the end of 2015 on Instagram, encouraging her to send her music to him, okay, or to send it to his manager. Now, by early 2015, she alleged that his manager helped arrange a trip to Atlanta for Mangro to meet with the Dream, and the Dream took her to a club that night along with several others. She recorded several songs with the Dream, says that he took her to a strip club later that night, and this is what is alleged in the lawsuit as well. Now, the next day, the Dream texted Mangro for the first time, and she alleged, claiming that after saying hello, the first thing Dream text Miss Mangro was, "Do you have a boyfriend? Boyfriends aren't allowed." What? It's a distraction. Before she left Atlanta, Mangro alleged that the Dream told her that he wanted to sign her to his record label, Contra Paris, and that he would make her the next Beyonce and Rihanna. Well, we already see that didn't happen because there is no other Beyonce or Rihanna. Please pay attention. Now, goes on to say that Dream led Miss Mangro to believe through manipulation and coercion that if she allowed him to completely control every aspect of her life, they could create the ultimate sanctuary that would surpass anything he accomplished with Beyonce or Rihanna. Sounds like he was selling her a lot of dreams if these allegations are to be believed. And it also sounds reminiscent of the things that Cassie was allegedly told by Diddy. Remember how Diddy signed her to a 10-album deal, but she ended up only doing 1? Okay. Now, in February of 2015, according to the lawsuit, Mangro went to record music with the Dream at a studio, and once there, she says he allegedly became aggressive and in pressuring Miss Mangro to have relations with him, okay, for lack of a better term, telling her that it was part of the process. Say what now? Said that it was part of the process. Mangro claims in her suit that the producer locked her in a dark room adjacent to a recording studio, violently having relations with her, and then leaving her alone, naked in the dark for hours on end, returning to again have sex with her and demand that she tell him she loved him. You mean like when Diddy was telling Cassie to call him her grandfather, the same thing she called her grandfather, which was Pow Pow? All weird. Now, she claims that if the two were in the studio at the same time, he expected her to be available to have relations with him whenever he demanded it. This sounds a whole lot like Diddy. Again, I'm not saying this is true. It's still alleged. And added later that violent sex control and manipulation became more and more common as the days passed. Choosing to speak out about the trauma I survived has been one of the most difficult decisions of my life. But ultimately, what Dream did to me made it impossible to live the life I envisioned for myself and pursue my goals as a singer and songwriter. This is what Mangro said in a statement. Ultimately, my silence has become too painful, and I realized that I need to tell my story to heal. I hope that doing so will also help others and prevent future horrific abuse. Let me tell you all something. It's going to be a whole lot of people coming out. Let's not forget what Cat Williams said. All things are being revealed, okay? All things are being revealed. All these people getting called out on all fronts. There's going to be more allegations and more lawsuits coming out. Please pay attention. And we're just 6 months in. Now, the suit also alleges that the producer would get angry upon discovering that Mangro was taking birth control pills and demanded that she throw them away. According to Dream, it was a sign of disrespect to try to prevent a pregnancy by him. Miss Mangro, who had no desire to be pregnant at the time, began hiding her birth control pills under her mattress. Okay, according to the lawsuit. Now, on other occasions, the complaint says that the producer forced her to have relations with him and recording. This sounds just like Diddy. He later threatened her, or the allegations against Diddy, shall I say. He later threatened her, telling her that he would show the footage to other people. This is definitely something that's been said about Diddy. I just want you all to pay attention because you see, birds of a feather often flock together. And that's why I'm wondering how close was the Dream and Diddy. And matter of fact, let me just look up real quick and see if I can find pictures of them. Because was Dream at those parties? I have a whole lot of questions. This is all crazy. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. I don't see the two of them in any pictures together that I can see at the moment. Maybe they weren't friends, but that's even more scary because that means this is likely something that just goes on in the music industry regardless. Okay, so it goes on to say that the lawsuit points to numerous allegations of sexual violence against Mangro, with one graphic incident alleging that the Dream began to choke Miss Mangro with both hands, forcing her to perform fellatio on him. When she attempted to signal with her hands that she was choking, he said that he was her boss and continued forcing himself on her, according to the suit. As she began to pass out, Dream continued to scream that she was taking advantage of him. What? Let me make sure I read that right. As she began to pass out, Dream continued to scream that she was taking advantage of him. Now, imagine that if this is all true. Mangro's attorneys, Douglas Wigder, and I want you all to pay attention, Meredith A. Firetalk, she has the same attorneys as Cassie, who represented Cassie Ventura in her lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, called the allegations yet another horrific example of how men in the music industry use their power and influence to manipulate and harm others. Dream, like Sean Diddy Combs with Miss Ventura and others, used his standing as a prominent recording artist and producer to subject Miss Mangro to vicious physical, psychological, and abuse, according to Wigder and Firetalk. While she will never fully recover from what he and those who supported him did to her, her willingness to speak out now is evidence of her extraordinary strength. We are honored to represent her. This is all so crazy. Now let's get into this lawsuit, honey. These allegations are so nefarious. I'm going to share my screen, but I have to be careful because there is a trigger warning on here. And with that all being said, I don't want to show anything that I shouldn't be showing. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to put an overlay up. This is all so sad that these things continue to happen. Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me see if I can find my watermark on here. Okay, here we go. So this is a 60-page document. And it has the attorneys on here, as I told you, the same ones representing Cassie. Filed in the United States District Court, Central District of California. And she has the Dream on here, Terrius Gesteld Diamonds, PAKA, the Dream, Contra Paris, which is his record label, Contra Paris LLC, and Epic Records. Okay, it says the preliminary statement. Now, the Dream is an award-winning songwriter, singer, songwriter, and producer who has risen to fame writing and producing songs for musical stars of the last 2 decades. He has been hailed as one of the prolific hit makers in the industry and is considered innovative and incredibly talented. He has fashioned himself as a champion of art and artist, once calling major record labels evil and stating that artists are treated like slaves in the record industry. Now, in 2014, Miss Chanez Mangro was 23 years old, working in the United States on an international visa from the Netherlands, hoping to land her big break as a singer and songwriter. Now, if she's from the Netherlands, I wonder what complexion she is. because I don't think there's a lot of people that look like me in the Netherlands is all I'm saying. Not that it matters, but I'm just curious. Okay, so goes on to say hold on, I lost my place. Okay, so hoping to land her big break as a singer and songwriter. Now, when associates of Dream reached out to Miss Mangrove via social media, she was thrilled. She immediately sent along samples of her work and was quickly invited to join Dream and his partner, Tricky Stewart, in Atlanta. Now, far from being the amazing breakthrough opportunity she imagined, Miss Mangrove's experience with Dream was nothing short of a prolonged nightmare. Under the guise of pursuing a legitimate recording and publishing contract with Miss Mangrove, Dream lured the young and vulnerable artist into lured her into an abusive, violent, and manipulative relationship filled with physical assaults, violent sexual encounters, and horrific psychological manipulation. Now, in both Atlanta and Los Angeles, Dream used his age and influence in the industry to manipulate the young artist into believing that she needed him to be successful, and roped her into his world through false promises to gain Miss Mangrove's complete trust, including assuring her that he would sponsor the extension of her international visa, telling her he would write blockbuster songs for her if she became part of his so-called sanctuary like Beyonce and Rihanna, offering her lofty visions of recording and publishing contracts with major labels, assuring her that he would appropriately advocate for her, and promising her she would open for Beyonce's upcoming tour, going as far as to force Miss Mangrove to diet and exercise excessively to prepare for the tour. Now, in reality, Dream used Miss Mangrove for his base desires, which manifested in violent sexual encounters or acts and vicious psychological torture. For example, Dream locked Miss Mangrove in a dark room adjacent to a recording studio, violently having relations with her and then leaving her alone naked in the dark for hours on end. Now, returning to again have relations with her and demand that she tell him that she loved him. An April 1st, 2024 New Yorker article emphasizes the close relationship between Dream and Beyonce, going as far as to call Dream her musical soulmate. As well, or as will be detailed herein, Dream regularly used the success that he reached working with Beyonce to excuse his violent, coercive, and manipulative behavior. And I want you all to pay attention because Jay-Z and Beyonce are linked to both the Dream and Diddy in very close ties, not just in passing, but very close ties. So I have to wonder, did they know anything about these nefarious things that have been alleged? I just wonder. Dream controlled all aspects, because I'll bet they did, is all I'm saying. Now, Dream controlled all aspects of Miss Mangrove's stay in the United States, including providing her housing, transportation, and food expenses. He kept a close track of her location at all times, calling and texting her at all hours to demand updates on her location, or even keeping his own key to Miss Mangrove's hotel room so that he could enter whenever he pleased with no notice. Dream forced Miss Mangrove to drink excessive amounts of alcohol by roughly pulling her head back by her hair and pouring alcohol down her throat. Dream frequently strangled Miss Mangrove during violent relations, sometimes with his hands and once using the collar of her dress. And on multiple occasions, Dream choked Miss Mangrove so intensely that she almost lost consciousness. This is all deplorable. Now, Dream refused to wear a condom and regularly put bodily fluids, I'll say that much, inside of Miss Mangrove against her protest. When he discovered she was taking birth control, he became enraged because he felt it was a sign of disrespect. She was forced to hide her birth control pills under a mattress. Now, Dream berated Miss Mangrove while having relations with her, calling her ungrateful and insisting that she praise him and declare her loyalty to him. Dream once graped Miss Mangrove in the back of a renovated Sprinter van the same evening that he forced her to engage in these acts in a public movie theater. Now, mind you, I'm reading this for the first time as I'm reading it to you guys because I literally just found it right before this live started. Now, Dream recorded Miss Mangrove during sexual acts and used the existence of the recording to threaten Miss Mangro into silence. This is the same thing that Cassie alleged that Diddy did to her, and said that even though she would delete some of the things, that he would always still have them. He was able to still retrieve them. Now, his depraved behavior was facilitated by his record label, Contra Paris LLC, as well as by Epic Records. The label Dream convinced to invest in Miss Mangro. They were the label that he convinced to invest in Miss Mangro, despite the fact that he never intended to truly support her career trajectory, but instead wanted corporate funding to assist in his trafficking venture. Really? This is all nefarious. Now, the result of Dream's heinous acts was that Miss Mangrove's career was upended. Her music was taken from her without any explanation. Contra Paris never provided her any compensation, and every attempt to revive her career has been hijacked by Dream and those who support him. So basically being blackballed is what it sounds like. It sounds like this woman is being blackballed, just like the same things that Cassie alleged. Just like this is also sick. Okay, I feel bad for anybody with high hopes and dreams of stardom and fame and fortune who want to enter into the music industry under a label. Okay, and anyone that they may think can be a mentor to them, because these people sound like they're so nefarious. And I don't believe these things are lies, because how are these people coming out of the woodwork with the same allegations about different people in the industry? Let's not forget about Aaron Hall, got caught up in that Diddy stuff, Harv Pierre. But let me continue. So goes on to say, over more than a year, Miss Mangro experienced trauma that she has still not recovered from. She is broken as an artist, constantly afraid for her physical safety, and plagued by reminders of the violence and control that she experienced at the hands of Dream, who has continued his successful career unscathed by his horrific acts. And let's not forget that Dream has a child with Christina Milian. Nearly a decade later, Miss Mangro is still putting the pieces of her life back together. But she knows that without speaking up about what Dream did to her, she will never be able to heal from the harm he has caused. And I want you all to pay attention to something, because this is what I find interesting. You may remember, beloveds, that when all of that stuff came out about Diddy, you know, there were people that came forward, of course, but then when the video footage came out of him attacking Cassie in the hotel hallway, I told you all, more people are now going to come out, because now they can look at it. Even if they thought they wouldn't be believed, now they know that Cassie's absolutely going to be believed, because the footage is there. It doesn't show that he assaulted her, but it shows how vicious and heinous and depraved he could be. And anyone who could behave that way, well, it would be very easy, in my opinion, for them to carry out other heinous acts. And that's what most of us would be led to think. Now, the thing is, not only are people coming out on Diddy, now you have people that are going to come out on some of these other people in the music industry. Okay? So at the end of the day, there's probably going to be even more lawsuits to come out after this. This is all nefarious. Okay, Deronda said, yes, you did, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Above all that drama, said blood in the water. Absolutely. Okay. Leon said exactly. Wow. Miss Cookie says, imagine the ones that got away with the nefariousness before social media. Right. Okay, Claudette said it's going down. It surely is. Please pay attention. Now, she therefore brings this lawsuit to speak up for herself and other female artists who have been tormented by powerful and selfish men in the recording industry. She seeks justice and accountability to prevent further horrific abuse like she experienced, and to regain her sense of self as an artist and as a woman. Now, of course, here, the jurisdiction and venue, it lists the statutes and things. It says, and therefore raises federal questions regarding the deprivation of plaintiffs' rights. The court has supplemental jurisdiction over plaintiffs' related claims arising under state law. Okay, let's get past all of that. Factual allegations. Now, the Dream has established himself as a talented and powerful songwriter and producer, and has a violent misogynist. Dream is a Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, producer, known for authoring some of the most famous modern songs, including Rihanna's Umbrella, Justin Bieber's Baby, Mariah Carey's Touch My Body, and Kanye West's All of the Lights. He is also known as a go-to producer and songwriter for Beyonce, penning her hit single Ladies, Put a Ring on It, and Run the World. Wow. Partition. Hold on. Did I skip something? Okay, so plaintiff seeking damages. Partition, and is listed in the credits on every album of Beyonce since 2008, including Beyonce's most recent Cowboy Carter. Now, his accomplishments earned him 8 Grammy Awards and a nomination for the newly created category of Songwriter of the Year at the 65th Grammy Awards. Dream also recorded and released his own music on various other labels, including Def Jam Recordings and Capitol Records. Now, Dream is also well connected in the business side of the music industry, being named Executive Vice President of A&R at Def Jam Records in 2012, where he signed and produced new artists to the label. And you know, I wonder if he did something similar with Christina Milian. Because remember, she was trying to have a music career also, even though it didn't really go anywhere, it never really jumped off. But I wonder if that's how he got with her in the first place, under the guise of telling her that he was going to get her career going. In 2014, Dream launched his own record label called Contra Paris. He incorporated the label as a limited liability company, Contra Paris LLC, in Delaware in December of 2014. According to Dream, Contra Paris was a designer and cultural label, or an art label, founded along with Jay-Z. As he said in one interview, it's about art overall, period. Anything that's art, we're trying to get into. I have a lot of people hitting me on Instagram, guys and girls, that are trying to fuse music with their culture, whatever the culture is, as long as it's art. Now, it's not clear if Contra Paris ever signed any artists to its label aside from Miss Mangrove, or whether any records were released by the label. Today, the Contra Paris website appears partially defunct and seems to function as a consignment shop for a handful of items of clothing that presumably belong to Dream. Now, Dream has regularly maintained that he has a soft spot for women. In an interview with New York Magazine, he was commended for his song celebrating tough cookie feminism, and was quoted as saying, "I've always had a soft spot for women because of my mom, just their power. Man's biggest enemy is a woman who has it in for them. I just like being around them, watching, soaking up information, being cursed out, being put out." Well, he's certainly getting put out right now. Please pay attention. And also his words ring true, and they're also ironic when he says man's biggest enemy is a woman who has it in for them. Okay. Now, another publication noted that Dream has mostly cast himself as a worshiper of women, put them on a pedestal type, not usually a healthy attitude, but in the R&B landscape, he has stood out as a romantic. Well, there was nothing that sounded romantic about these allegations. Pay attention. Now, yet this feminist persona is plainly contradicted by the reality of Dream's relationships with women and his highly publicized arrest for domestic violence. Did you all know Dream had been arrested for domestic violence? Did you all know this? Queen V says, I'm reading Roman numerals. Queen V says, sounds like a front company. It likely could have been. Nessa G said, I know his mom has to be so disappointed. Wow. This is all very interesting. Everyone's saying no. They must have swept that under the rug, because I never heard about that, him having a case for domestic violence. And so in 2010, while married to singer Christina Milian, pictures of Dream and his assistant having an affair in the Caribbean leaked online. Dream then filed for divorce from his then wife, in all of 9 days before Milian gave birth. This was all of 9 days before Milian gave birth to the couple's daughter. Later news stories reported that Million's divorce settlement was contingent on Million's agreement to never speak about their marriage. Sounds like Diddy doing dirt, and then you don't want anyone to speak on anything, so you try to silence people. His chauvinism was further on display when asked about his role as a parent to his daughter. In an interview with Essence magazine, when asked if he helped Million with the baby, he said the following: I don't help Million out because my helping out turns into expectations. I'll get violent on a late night, maybe one or two times, but after that, no. If Christina's tired, call the nanny. Call Violet's granny. We got people. Wow. I mean, he said that just so matter of factly. Like he doesn't care to spend time with his own child. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, in 2013, he shared that he was writing a book about relationships despite his multiple divorces. Okay, sounds like Steve Harvey. Please pay attention. And was quoted saying, "But why get married? What do they say? Get the milk without the cow." Clearly sounds like a male chauvinist. Such a statement crudely refers to women as cattle and further suggests that Dream does not think romantic commitment is worthwhile if you can get what you want, basically have relations, okay, which is when he's referencing the milk, that's what he's talking to, if that could just be achieved without the commitment. Well, he's not the only one that thinks that. There's a whole lot of men that think that. Now, that same year, a mere month after making the statement quoted above, Dream was then arrested in California for domestic violence for an incident with his girlfriend at the time, who declined to press charges. That's likely why we didn't hear about it, because no charges were ever pressed. Now, less than a year later, however, Dream was again arrested on charges of felony assault and strangulation, reckless endangerment, and child endangerment of his girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time. So you mean to tell me he's whipping up on pregnant women? Yeah, these allegations sound very reminiscent of the ones that have been alleged against Diddy. The criminal complaint alleged that Dream pulled and dragged his ex-girlfriend by her hair, choked her with a necklace she was wearing, kicked her, punched her in the head, and grabbed her by the neck, choking her again. I'm sorry, but all I can see in my mind's eye as I'm reading this is that video of Diddy doing these same things to Cassie in the hallway. So goes on to say his ex-girlfriend took photographs of the bruises that Dream left on her, and those pictures showed bruises on her arms and scratches on her neck and wrist. They were publicly released by TMZ. Outrageously, Dream publicly insisted that his girlfriend pressed charges to protect her immigration status. That's what he said. That was his excuse. Okay. And ironically, Dream has been quoted in Rolling Stone as stating that no one takes the time to understand a man or the psychological impacts on men without men not being able to work as much as they did when I was small. It's not about equal or not. He went on to ask, whoever thought that the weakest part of life would be masculinity? Well, you know, masculinity doesn't entail whipping up on women, putting paws on people, specifically women that are pregnant. That has nothing to do with masculinity. And I want you to pay attention to how some of these people who do these things or get accused of these things absolutely will try to paint narratives and try to make excuses for their behavior and act as though they're the victims. Oh, they don't want men to be masculine. Well, in some cases they don't. We can say that when they have them wearing dresses and things, but that has nothing to do with him allegedly putting hands on a pregnant woman. Now, when Plaintiff was first connected to Dream, she only knew of his reputation as a famous and accomplished songwriter and had not heard about his history of violence towards women. A history of violence towards women. Isn't that what they said about Diddy? A history of violence. Those around Dream, however, and the businesses that supported his artistic endeavors were aware of the violent misogynist that successfully hid his true self behind his songs of female empowerment. Miss Mangro is an extraordinary singer and songwriter and receives 0 to 1B visa for her abilities in the arts. Okay, so that's what her visa has. Now, Miss Mangro was raised in the Netherlands with a passion, love, and extraordinary talent for writing and recording music. As a teenager, she began posting her songs on social media, developing a devoted following and catching the attention of several well-known producers around the world. In 2012, when Miss Mangro was just 21 years old, she signed a production deal with US-based production company Shapiro Bernstein and Company, Inc., as a songwriter. And as a result, she applied for a 3-year O1B visa for an alien of extraordinary ability in the arts or extraordinary achievement in the motion picture or television industry. Now, as the then president of Shapiro Bernstein and Company, Inc., wrote in support of Miss Mangro's OB1 visa application, Shania is an extraordinary artist who has established herself as one of the top singers or songwriters in Europe. At only 21 years old, Shania is on the short list of the music industry's most covered artists, achieving outstanding success in a relatively short period of time. She is sought after by the top recording artists, record labels, producers, and insiders in the industry or in the business. So why doesn't she have a lucrative career? That's because she's been blackballed. Okay, and her collaborations read like a who's who in the music industry. Now, in further support of Miss Mangro's application for the visa, the vice president of membership for the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers wrote that Shania is an extraordinarily talented artist. In her native Holland, she has earned a reputation as one of Europe's most compelling and creative singer-songwriters. It's not often that a foreign songwriter like Shania makes such an impact this side of the Atlantic. It's a testament to her spectacular talent and ability that at the tender age of 21, she is on the short list of music industry's most coveted artists. Not surprisingly, Miss Mangro was awarded a 3-year visa and began frequently working in the United States throughout 2012 to 2015. And this was as a songwriter for Shapiro Bernstein and Company, Inc. Now, throughout this time, Miss Mangro continued to post her work on social media, including Instagram, which is how she was ultimately connected with Dream. And she probably was so elated at the time, thinking that she really had to come up. Dream and his team make false promises to lure Miss Mangro to Atlanta. Now, in late 2014, Miss Mangro was considering her options once her visa expired by 2015. She knew that she wanted to focus on her own recording career, and as a result, was speaking to several well-known producers about potential next steps and sponsorship for her visa renewal. It was around that same time in late 2014 that Dream's childhood friend and personal security detail, Chris Garland, reached out to Miss Mangro. And this was via Instagram, and asked her to send him music to share with Dream's manager, Mercuriadis, also known as Merc. Now, at the time, Dream and his creative producer, Christopher Tricky Stewart, also known as Tricky, had reached enormous success, including producing and or songwriting for Beyonce, Rihanna, Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, and Justin Bieber, producing 5 of his own studio albums and receiving several Grammy Award nominations and multiple wins. As a successful performer, songwriter, and producer, Dream seemed like the perfect fit for Miss Mangro, who was enormously talented in both performing and songwriting. Miss Mangro was thrilled at the opportunity to get her music in front of Dream and have the chance to work with someone who had significant connections and influence in the music industry. She therefore immediately sent Garland some of her music. Garland quickly responded that he would arrange a meeting between Miss Mangro and Merc. Miss Mangro happily said that she would meet with Dream and or his team. Now, in January of 2015, while Miss Mangro was already in Los Angeles, Merc reached out to Miss Mangro to arrange for her to fly to Atlanta to meet Dream. Although Garland told Miss Mangro that Merc was Dream's manager, she later learned that Mark Stewart Tricky Stewart's brother was in fact Dream's manager. Now, the exact relationship between Dream and Merck at the time is unclear, but this misrepresentation was just one of many upon which Miss Mangro relied. However, he did assist in arranging the initial meeting between Miss Mangro and Dream, and in 2018, it was reported that the company that Merck founded, Hypnosis, acquired the catalogs of both Dream and Tricky Stewart. Wow. So with that all being said, lies told early on in the beginning, I want you all to pay attention. Now, she arrived in Atlanta on January the 29th of 2015, where Garland picked her up from the airport and told her that she would be meeting Dream at a club that evening because Dream wanted to observe how she handled herself in a club atmosphere. Several hours later, Miss Mangro met Dream, Tricky, and Garland in front of the Gold Room Club. Now, Miss Mangro did not have any significant interaction with Dream while they were in the club, but she was told to get into Dream's car with him and Garland get in the car with him and Garland at the end of the night. Now, while they drove Miss Mangro back to her hotel, Dream discussed taking her to a basketball game the following day. When Miss Mangro attempted to turn the conversation to getting into the studio to record, Dream confirmed that she would have the chance to record during the trip. So the next day, on January the 30th of 2015, Miss Mangro went into a studio to record with Dream sound engineer Bart Shoudle, now also known as Shoudle. Now, during the recording session, Miss Mangro recorded a verse for the song Transparent, which was supposed to be part of Dream's forthcoming two-part EP, Crown Jewel. While the official release of Crown Jewel was delayed, the song eventually leaked online. Dream failed to give any credit or compensation to Miss Mangro for her vocals. So this all sounds like Diddy. I mean, and I'm not saying this is all true, but these allegations sound exactly like the things alleged against Diddy. So having people to do work and not compensating them sounds like when Little Rod said that he worked on Diddy's Love Above the Grid or Off the Grid album for 9 whole months and then produced 9 songs and then didn't get anything that he was supposed to get. So goes on to say, on the following day, January 31st, Miss Mangro went back to the studio and recorded the song 187, which Dream had written. And although Miss Mangro had no gang affiliations or a violent history, she was presented with a song titled with the slang used for murder. Now, why would he give her a song titled 187? First of all, that sounds like the title to a rap song, but someone from the streets, clearly. Now, that evening, Dream arranged for Miss Mangro to attend an Atlanta Hawks game with Shoudle, providing her with courtside seats. After the game, Dream and several others, including Tricky and Garland, took Miss Mangro to a strip club. At that point, Miss Mangro had not yet earned the right to have Dream's phone number, so arrangements were made through Garland. Now, I find this interesting. He didn't give her his phone number as of yet. She hadn't earned the right, so they say, but he had a right to tell her that she had to go to the club with him. Please make that make sense. Now, Miss Mangro had never been to a strip club before. While there, Dream reportedly handed Miss Mangro large stacks of cash and demanded that she throw the money at the strippers. At one point, one of the strippers came to their table, completely naked, and Dream instructed the stripper to get on top of Miss Mangro. Miss Mangro was visibly uncomfortable with the situation. Honey, she should have said no Diddy. This is all crazy. Now, Dream seemed to enjoy how uncomfortable Miss Mangro became. He laughed as Miss Mangro asked the stripper to leave and perform for Dream instead. Dream insisted that the stripper go back over to Miss Mangro several times throughout the evening. So clearly trying to purposely humiliate this woman, make her feel some type of way. And he was getting a kick out of this. What is it about these people that are power hungry, allegedly, and alleged control freaks that makes them get such pleasure, such joy? They even get excited to see other people, just being uncomfortable and feeling as though things that are inappropriate are being done to them. This is also sick. Now, the following day, on February the 1st of 2015, Dream texted Miss Mangro for the first time, an apparent sign that she passed the test that Dream had been giving her. After saying hello, the first thing Dream texted Miss Mangro was, "Do you have a boyfriend? Boyfriends aren't allowed. It's a distraction." I would have felt like the strip club was a distraction, okay? What does that have to do with her recording music? Miss Mangro was surprised to be asked such a personal question so early on in her communications with Dream, but she wanted to be cooperative and responded in the negative. Now, as the end of her planned trip to Atlanta neared, Miss Mangro still was not given a recording contract or any indication that one would be forthcoming, but she remained optimistic because Dream and his team repeatedly expressed how impressed they were with her vocals and how much they liked her voice and her general style. Finally, shortly before she was scheduled to leave, Dream told Miss Mangro that he wanted to sign her to his label, Contra Paris LLC, also known as Contra. And Miss Mangro was so happy and overwhelmed with gratitude. It truly felt like everything she had been working for was about to come to fruition. Dream told her that he would make her the next Beyonce and Rihanna. I'm sorry, she should have known that was all cap. She should have known that was all cap, okay? Roddy says singer Maya has done interviews on escaping these demons. Yes, absolutely. And I in fact reported on Maya when I talked about Jay-Z and Beyonce allegedly ruining people's careers to get rid of competition. Okay. Sophie says, Queen, they are not happy with themselves, so they have to reflect their pain on someone else. If not, their unhappiness will give them the time to reflect on how horrible a person they are. Narcissists. Yeah, I agree, beloved. I agree. Okay. Queen V said, too desperate. All right. Absolutely. And in some cases, it is my belief and opinion that in some cases also, such as specifically the case with Diddy, that he was jealous of some of his artists. That's why, in my opinion, he kept their publishings and their careers never really went anywhere. And he just held some people on the shelf, acting like he's going to really put them out there. I know many people from Atlanta that signed with Diddy with Bad Boy South, and these people's careers never went anywhere, like 112. Okay? 112 should have had a very lucrative career. 8 Ball and MJG, when they signed with Bad Boy South, I mean, they were popping in the South before that. But once they got signed to Diddy's Bad Boy South, you didn't hear of them. You didn't hear anything else about them. What about Loon? Okay, Mace's career was short-lived, and we all know why. But this is all crazy. It seems to me like Diddy was envious of some of his own talented artists. So Anita says he probably didn't want her boyfriend in there because he wanted to abuse her freely and to manipulate her. Well, of course, that is absolutely what I believe it was, if these allegations are true. And let's not forget how Diddy took Cassie from her boyfriend at the time. Okay? This is all crazy. Nessie X said Carl Thomas. Exactly. That's another one. Wow. Let me continue. So Miss Mangro explained in detail to Dream that her visa was set to expire in November of that year, and that she needed a new petitioner to continue her visa for the following 3 years. She reiterated that she needed to know if he was serious about signing her and supporting her visa, because if not, she would need to search for another petitioner. Okay, she was clearly in a bind. I mean, it's like being stalled out, okay? Just being, stalled out, led on, and just being used for his own pleasures is what it sounds like. Now, Dream assured Miss Mangro that Contra would be her petitioner and that she would not need to look for another petitioner to continue her visa. He promised that she would receive an advance and written contract soon. He then asked if she would go to Los Angeles with him for the next 10 days to continue recording. Miss Mangro agreed. Miss Mangro then, just 23 years old and in an entirely new and enticing world, truly believed that all of her dreams were about to come true. Unfortunately, however, she would soon learn that it was just the start of a long nightmare. Mm, mm, mm. Did Dream also write that song titled Beautiful Nightmare that I believe Beyonce sings? I have questions. Dream uses his success with Beyonce and Rihanna to manipulate and exploit Miss Mangro. Now, from the moment Dream began texting Miss Mangro, he began regaling her with stories about how he helped create Beyonce and Rihanna and would do the same for her as long as she did everything he told her to do. Dream told Miss Mangro that in order to write songs for her, he needed to know everything about her, including everything that embarrassed her, upset her, angered her, and excited her. Every single thought that she had. Perhaps sensing Miss Mangrove's hesitation and confusion, Dream said that was how true songwriters and producers needed to operate in order to write the right song for each artist. I wouldn't have fallen for that. I don't believe that at all. Okay, he could sit down somewhere. He was clearly manipulating this young lady, and he was a bit older than her also. He said Miss Mangro needed to belong to him so they could become the next B and J, really, in reference to Beyonce and Jay-Z. Dream knew how much Miss Mangro loved and admired Beyonce as an artist. He regularly used Miss Mangro's admiration for Beyonce as a way to manipulate Miss Mangro, telling her that the only reason he achieved such great success with Beyonce is because they created a sanctuary together, which allowed him to know Beyonce in a way that others could not, and consequently, he could write the best songs for her. Now, she should have known that was all lies because Jay-Z wouldn't have anything to say about that. And another thing, that sounds reminiscent of the allegations against Diddy, because isn't that in fact what Rodney Jones alleged that Diddy did to him? Okay, isn't that the same thing he did with Diddy did to him with Stevie J? He knew that Little Rod admired Stevie J and said, "Oh, this is what everybody does. This is how it goes down in the industry." Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but even Stevie J does it, and then proceeds to show him a video with someone in certain acts that was supposed to be Stevie J. Please pay attention. Now, Dream explained that a sanctuary was even stronger than a spousal connection because it was about art. Being part of a sanctuary with Dream meant that Miss Mangro was required to disclose all of her secrets and thoughts and become trust partners with him. He said that his relationship with Beyonce was so close that he knew about Beyonce's pregnancy before her husband Jay-Z did. Now, I don't believe that. Now, he clearly was lying at that point. There's no way I believe that. And here's the thing. Did he write any songs for Beyonce about her being pregnant? Okay, why would someone need to know your deepest, darkest secrets, things that you want hidden because they're writing songs for you? Because here's the thing. Unless they're going to be talking about those specific things in the song, why would they need to know that? And if they're deep, dark secrets, do you really want to sing about them if you don't want to even talk about them? Okay, so that makes no sense. You see, some of these things that people fall for really could be avoided if they just exercise a little bit more common sense and critical thinking skills, and then trusted their gut instincts and their intuition, and stop being so gullible. Because some people are just gullible, and they believe that people of a certain stature, people that live in that have a certain price range that they live in, wealthy people, people who have fame and fortune, they tend to think that these people know everything, and that's how they got to where they are. When much of the time, and if not most of the time, these people get to where they are from being nefarious, okay? And from stealing things from other people, like their publishing, okay? Like the credit for things that they've done otherwise. So anyway, it goes on to say, for example, Dream texts Miss Monroe, and this is the text message. It says, "I will need to know things you think or embarrassed about to the furthest extent. I'm going to be your better half of this. I think it should have been if. I'm going to be your better half if this goes where I think it's going." So Dream reminded Miss Mangro that she better be grateful that he was working with her, because he was putting work on Beyonce's album on hold, and that if she wanted to reach the same level of success as Beyonce, she needed to become as close or closer to him than Beyonce. He said that meant that Miss Mangro should ask and follow his advice on everything, rely on him to be her main confidant, and limit her inner circle to only those people that he approved of and trusted. This is all crazy. See, this is grooming. I want you all to pay attention. That's what this is. This is nothing more than grooming. He's putting all of this stuff in her head. He's playing these psychological mind games with her and being manipulative, just as it says in the lawsuit, if these things are to be believed and true. Saying that she can only have people in her inner circle that he approves of and that he trusts. Why does she need him to trust the people in her circle? What do those people even have to do with him? Because here's the thing. She could absolutely have kept him and them separate. Now, Dream also, and this is likely because, in my opinion, for whatever nefarious things that he was going to do to her, that there would not be anyone to talk to her and say, you know, you need to do something about this. You need to press charges, or you need to stop working with him. There would be no one in her ear to give her advice that was contrary to whatever he was saying. Dream also told Miss Mangro that if she acted right, he would share the specific formula he used with Beyonce, and that Miss Mangro and Beyonce would be the only two artists with those industry secrets. Honey, I wouldn't believe this. This stuff all sounds like lies, honey. I know when you're wide-eyed and starry-eyed and all of that, you want to believe these things, but honey, I'm sorry, at some point, critical thinking skills have to kick in, and I'm not blaming the victim because she was young and naive and surely hopeful. But I'm just saying for you all right now that are listening right now today, just always keep these things in mind, because young people who now, you know, are aspiring actors or want to be in the music industry, you should be looking at some of the things that these victims, these alleged victims, are saying about what goes on in the industry, because then you can possibly learn from their mistakes. This is all so sad. Now, it goes on to say, Dream routinely pointed out that he could make any new artist successful, but he was choosing Miss Mangro, so he accepted her or expected her to respect him correctly. First of all, how do you respect someone correctly? Okay? That means he wanted her to respect him the way he saw fit. And if that meant telling him all of her business, all the details of her private and personal life, cutting off friends and family that he didn't approve of, that is what she had to do. That's basically what he was saying. Now, Dream frequently pitted Rihanna against Beyonce, implying that Rihanna was fighting for his attention and was frustrated that he was giving it to Beyonce instead of her. He said that Rihanna was begging him for good records, but because of his special sanctuary relationship with Beyonce, he saved them for Beyonce, and that Miss Mangro could be a part of that as well. According to Dream, Rihanna was possessive over him and got angry when he worked with Beyonce. Now, in an apparent effort to reiterate how grateful Miss Mangro should be for the opportunity to work with him, Dream told her that Rihanna would frequently send him flowers and other gifts. He reiterated that Rihanna had to work to make him give her hit records, and he was choosing to work with Miss Mangro instead. So for those of you who follow my spiritual channel, we have talked about this. For those of you that follow the spiritual channel, we have talked about this at length. Okay, and I mentioned it even again today on the spiritual live that I just did prior to this. Remember how I told you guys about emotional blackmail? Remember how I told you that people will, try to make you feel bad about yourself or try to guilt you into doing things that they want you to do or say. They'll try to hold things over your head. This is what that all goes back to. Claudette said, true queen. Thank you, beloved. This is what it all goes back to. Sophie said, doesn't this almost sound like 50 Shades of Grey? Well, I never saw that movie. I have heard about it, but I actually never saw that. This is all so crazy. Miss Cookie says the creator gives the gift of voice and it's used for manipulation, violence, and torture. I just don't get it. I don't either, but I tell you what, this is all nefarious. It sounds to me like the devil is in the details. Please pay attention. Now, in one of their earliest text exchanges, Dream asked Miss Mangro when she lost her virginity, explaining that Rihanna had told him this information about herself, insinuating that artists he worked closely with shared such intimate information with him. Honey, I wouldn't have told him anything. Okay, and if I did, I'd have just told him a lie, just to appease him. Now, Dream led Miss Mangro to believe through manipulation and coercion that if she allowed him to completely control every aspect of her life, they could create the ultimate sanctuary that would surpass anything he accomplished with Beyonce or Rihanna. When Miss Mangro questioned the idea of the sanctuary or asked Dream to clarify what he meant, she would receive evasive responses like the following. And this is another text. I'll let you know after we win 10 Grammys together. Right now, you just have to be free and let me undress you emotionally. And he said do, but it should say so I can know what's underneath your heart. Let me tell you all something that I'm starting to think, or starting to not even think. This is what it is, what I'm starting to realize. So you know how a lot of these parents, we said it just sounds so crazy that they would let their children go off and stay with these artists, like in the case of Aaliyah going to work with R. Kelly at such a young age and spending so much time with him without parents around or other adults. Also, when we think about, you know, how Usher went to stay with Diddy, and then how Usher was in charge of Justin Bieber and then allowed Justin to go stay with Diddy for like 48 hours, allegedly. With that all being said, and some of the parents who sent their daughters to stay with R. Kelly. With that all being said, it seems to me like this emotional manipulative tactic that Dream was allegedly using, it seems like this guilt tripping, you know, oh, do as I say, and if you want this, you have to do this. It's all grooming, mind you. But it sounds like this is even what was done to parents who want their children to be in the music industry. Like maybe that's why these parents were so willing to let their kids go and stay with people like R. Kelly or Diddy. Because this is what they were likely told. Oh, if you want them to be the big star, if you want them to be the next so-and-so, this is what you have to do. They have to come to Diddy's flavor camp. They have to be able to come and stay with Diddy. They have to do this, that, and the third. This is likely what they told the parents. Please pay attention. This is also nefarious. Now, for a new artist, the thought of becoming the next Beyonce or Rihanna was obviously intoxicating. And Miss Mangro was willing to work as hard as possible to make her recording dreams come true. I feel so sorry for this young lady if all these allegations are true. Now, Dream told Miss Mangro that he was working on Beyonce's new tour and that if everything went well, Miss Mangro could open up for her, but shared this promise only in the text of his emotional manipulation of her. And this is what the text says. I think the more freedom you give me, the more relationships I will be able to put you through and in. I am a straightforward person. And look how he spelled straight, okay? Clearly, he's not that smart. Now, things like the Beyonce opening isn't a big deal to get it done. That's my family, he says. Miss Mangro had no reason to disbelieve what Dream was telling her at the time. He was successful. And here's the thing. Now, I have to wonder, when he's telling her all these things about Beyonce and Rihanna, is she ever being put in contact with them? I mean, not like calling them on the phone per se, but is she ever being in places and spaces with them? Like, is she at the recording studio with them while they're there ever? Is she ever on meetings with Dream when he has them present? I just wonder, because if he's telling her all of these things, well, did she ever get a chance to speak to them about it? Right? Probably not. So I definitely would have been suspicious. And because for one, if he's telling her she's going to open up on Beyonce's tour, did Beyonce tell her that? Because that's what I would have wanted to hear. I would have wanted Beyonce to tell me that, because you can tell me anything about Beyonce's tour. But if she didn't specifically come and sit down and have a talk with me and say, hey, I want you to open for me on the next tour, I would not just believe that. At least I don't think I would have at that age. Now, Miss Mangro had no reason to disbelieve the Dream or what Dream was telling her at the time. He was successful, had many hit records with Beyonce and Rihanna, and convinced her that two of the most successful recording artists were dependent on him for their success, not their talents. Surely he's not the only songwriter. I mean, Neo wrote Beyonce some very good songs too. Now, Dream regularly held his age and experience in the industry over Miss Mangro, telling her that she simply did not understand how his methods were were necessary to success, and instilling in her that she should be grateful for his efforts to help her, placing himself on a pedestal and emphasizing that her success was only possible thanks to Dream. For example, he stated the following over text, saying, "It means more to me than you can imagine. My risk to tell you that. In your mind, you should know that I am asking something far greater than anyone ever has for and with you. And it's because I know it's beyond explanation. I can explain this, so don't even try and don't mention it. That's why the government denies things. It isn't because it's not true. It's because I lesser mind, I think they should say a lesser mind, wouldn't even understand. So why stop the life they have and change what they love about their life? It's actually an unselfish thing to hold in. It's actually an unselfish thing to hold in a truth." I mean, these lies, okay? He's clearly telling these lies because we're seeing it in the text. Now, Miss Mangro was drawn into a whirlwind of lofty messages like this and was quickly convinced that she needed Dream to make it in the music industry, and therefore was willing to take any and all direction from him. Only now, because she sees that Dream was using fraud and coercion to manipulate her into believing that she was being brought into a legitimate business arrangement, not a venture to use her for Dream's violent pleasures when he was doing all this BS. Now, Miss Mangro goes to Los Angeles to record her album, and Dream begins a horrific pattern of physical, sexual, and psychological manipulation and abuse under the guise of creating art. Okay, now he's starting to sound like Marina Abramovich. Okay, remember her, or Marina Abramovic, the one that was talking about art and pouring all that blood and stuff on the wall, pig's blood and all that sick stuff. Now he's starting to sound like her under the guise of creating art, because that's what she claims when she does that sick stuff. It sounds like a whole lot of nefarious goes on in the industry, and it's all just disgusting to me. Now, on February the 4th of 2015, Miss Mangro arrived in Los Angeles directly from Atlanta. Soon after she arrived, she began receiving messages from Dream that were extremely flirtatious, including asking her if she wanted to lose her virginity again, implying that he wanted to have relations with her. That evening, Miss Mangro was in the studio, which was in Tricky Stewart's home, recording music. Dream complained that Miss Mangro needed to loosen up for the sake of the music and pressured her to drink alcohol and smoke Mary Jane in excessive quantities. Isn't that the same thing they said about Diddy? Isn't that the same thing they said about Diddy? So pressuring someone, talking about you need to loosen up. Now, didn't someone say that Diddy told them that they need to loosen up and drink some alcohol and smoke Mary Jane because they were too uptight? I want you all to pay attention. It would be hard pressed for me to think that these two, Diddy and Dream, were not friends. Even though I didn't find any pictures of them, that doesn't mean anything. I really didn't get a good look because I was rushing. But at the end of the day, they sound like very similar if all the allegations are true. So goes on to say, Dream told her that Ree smoked so much that while she's smoking one blunt, Jen and Melissa already rolling the next one, talking about Rihanna. Now, even though Miss Mangro did not enjoy using drugs and alcohol, she felt pressure to meet Dream's expectations of a hit artist. Throughout the evening, while they were in the recording studio, Dream became more aggressive in pressuring Miss Mangro to have relations with him. At some point, as a young lady, you have to realize that you're being used for relations, okay? You have to realize that, because at the end of the day, if you didn't want to have relations with him, you shouldn't be feeling compelled or obligated to do so. But, you know, this poor young lady was, you know, she had a lot on the line because she needed her visa. She needed him to petition for it and all of this. So I get it, but it's just really awful that some people do these types of things to people just to get what they want. Now, he assured her that the relations with him was part of the process and he could only write hit songs for her if she agreed to let him know everything about her. So you need to have relations with her to write a song. Well, here's the thing. Does he write songs for men? Because that's what I would have wanted to know. So you have to have relationships with this woman in order to write her hit songs. I would have asked him, so what do you do when you write songs for men? You have to know them as well. So do you have to get all this information from them about their deep, dark secrets? Do you have to take them and put them in your bed? This is all crazy. Roddy said dark magic. Okay. Witty T says wolves running in packs. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is all crazy. Call for President Anthony says that's the R. Kelly Stevie J grift. Okay. Reggie says that's what Dream had to do when Diddy took those cakes. Wow. We the people said you have to have a bussy. JT said, was the same requirement set for Beyonce? That's a good question, beloved. Thank you. Exactly. Was that the same requirement for Beyonce and Rihanna? And we already know Jay-Z wasn't having any of it. So this is all so crazy. Okay. This is all crazy. But let me continue. So in an effort to deter Dream, Miss Mangro tried to argue that she did not want to do anything that could complicate making music. In response, Dream told her that she agreed to be his trust partner, and not listening to him and doing what he wanted was a sign of disrespect. So I'm sorry, not laying up with him is a sign of disrespect. No, the sign of disrespect is him daring to have the nerve and the gall to tell her that she has to lay up with him in order for him to write her music, in order for him to help her in her career. Okay? Now, Miss Mangro, who was alone in the United States and increasingly confused and frightened about the situation she was in, tried to protest again. Bless her heart, honey. This is sad. This is really sad. Now, imagine if this was your daughter. And it's easy for us to sit here and say what we would or wouldn't do, just like I'm doing. It's easy for me to sit here and say this because I'm on the outside looking in. And, of course, I'm not 21 or 23 years old, as she was when this allegedly began occurring. Okay? So this is all crazy, but I think even just knowing myself, I think even at that young age, I think I would have known better at some point. May have been falling for the okie doke in the beginning when he said all this good stuff that sounds all good, but at some point when he starts demanding relations and talking about I need to know everything about you. Oh, you need to trust me. We're supposed to be building a sanctuary. Please sit down somewhere, sir. At that point, I feel like I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, please. Okay, so Dream reiterated to Miss Mangro that she was part of something special, that he let her into his sanctuary because she was so talented, and that she was part of something bigger than anything she could understand. Here's the thing. If she was so talented, why would he need her to have relations with him? Okay, that's what she should have been asking herself. Her talent should have simply been enough. Now, in the studio, Dream began to touch Miss Mangro, and she pulled back, suggesting that it was not a good idea to be flirtatious with others around. Dream proceeded to take Miss Mangro through the house where the studio was located, eventually bringing her to a pitch black bedroom. Upon arriving in a dark bedroom, Miss Mangro had no doubt about what Dream's intentions were. She told Dream, "I don't know about this, and I don't want to ruin this." Dream responded by telling her this was really important and that they did not have time to waste. What? He insisted that this will only make the records that much better. I'm sorry. Oh, no, honey. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Christy One Love says he's sleazy. Absolutely. If this is all true, he certainly is. Wow. This will make the records that much better. Sir, at this point, please just stop. Okay? Now, Dream then grabbed Miss Mangro's hands and placed them on his genitals. He then quickly escalated, pushing her down on the bed and inserting the cucumber. Others in the studio began to look for Dream and Miss Mangro, causing Dream to leave the bedroom to go back into the recording studio. When he did so, he locked the bedroom door with Miss Mangro inside, naked in the dark. After some amount of time, Dream returned to the studio, to the bedroom, and began to have and again had relations with Miss Mangro. He did this repeatedly for several hours, leaving Miss Mangro tired and confused. During this ordeal, Dream told her that this was going to be great for Miss Mangro, and also demanded that Miss Mangro tell Dream that she loved him. In fact, he would only stop aggressively having relations with her once she said that she loved him. When Dream finally let Miss Mangro leave the bedroom, it was around 6 a.m. The sun had risen, and most of the people from the studio had left. Low down, dirty dog. Tricky, however, did see her and Dream leave the bedroom at that hour. She returned to her hotel confused, but tried to remain grateful and hopeful for what she believed was her big break. This is all, Lord have mercy. This is all sad, honey. She thought that she at last, after doing all of that, was going to have her big break. Light Brown Sugar said he was an sex maniac, honey. Sounds like it. Reggie said, what an animal. Pamela said, a ritual. Okay, let me tell you all something. Absolutely, some of these things are ritualistic, in my opinion, because here's the thing. When you have relations with a person, and specifically, in my opinion, when somebody's making you do something sick like that, there's a changing, an exchanging of energy. There's a lowering of the vibration when the person doesn't want to do it willingly and they're being made or coerced or forced to do so. There's a certain exchange of energy and it lowers the person's vibration. And this is humiliating. Okay, this could be humiliating and traumatizing, which feeds not only the ego, but it pumps the adrenaline of the person who's doing it. Okay, and if you all know what I've told you about that stuff called, I'm not going to say the word, but it ends with chrome, starts with an A and ends with the word chrome at the end. If you know anything about that, you know, they say that these people like to amp people up, get them all frightened, terrified, and even torture them in some cases so that the adrenaline builds and it's more potent. And that's what this all sounds like. This is all some sick stuff. Clearly demonic as far as I'm concerned. Okay, clearly. Now, it goes on to say, given Dream's pressure and insistence, Miss Mangro felt it was useless to continue protesting. Instead, she tried to convince herself that it was a consensual sexual encounter or interaction. It was easier to believe what Dream was saying than to face the reality of the situation, that a famous and significantly older music producer was using his influence and power to make a young woman on her own in a foreign country have relations with him. And for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, you remember the video that I did telling you that there are some things that you absolutely never compromise or sacrifice for anyone, no matter what. Okay, and this is one. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Now, Dream later texted Miss Mangro and acknowledged that he pressured her into having relations with him. In particular, he texted saying, entering you is like walking through a door of roses. Sure, there are thorns, but isn't it beautiful? Diamonds can't be made without pressure. Diamonds can't be made without pressure. Nothing great can. And then on February the 7th of 2015, Dream texted Miss Mangro saying, we were married through art, and I won't ever let anyone take advantage of you, and will perfect you to the end, like a knight. This is all a load of BS and nothing but running game, honey, and using mental gymnastics. Okay, that's all it is. Playing mental gymnastics. As far as I'm concerned, talk about I'll never let anyone take advantage of you after he just did exactly that. That's wild to me. Okay, please pay attention. Now, on February the 7th of 2015, I'm sorry, I read that part. Unfortunately, it was Dream who Miss Mangro needed protection from. And there was no knight willing to help her when she needed it the most. Throughout her time in Los Angeles, if Miss Mangro and Dream were in the studio at the same time, he expected her to be available to have relations with him whenever he demanded. This definitely sounds like Harvey Weinstein. Dream refused to use any protection. While she was in Los Angeles, Miss Mangro became sick with strep throat and was given antibiotics to treat it. She knew the antibiotics could lessen the effectiveness of birth control and begged Dream not to put bodily fluids, whatever in her body. Okay, he refused. At one point while they were in Los Angeles, Miss Mangro physically tried to get away from him to avoid the bodily fluids that he was trying to give her. All right. I'm trying to figure out ways to say this without being too graphic, mind you. Okay. And so Dream held her arms down and did it anyway, despite her protest. This type of violent relation, control, and manipulation became more and more common as the days passed. On or around February the 13th of 2015, Dream sent Miss Mangro sexually explicit text, including one that said, I wanted to F your bladder so hard that it made you, oh my goodness, made you leak all over me. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Basically urinates. Now, in between sending the text messages, those text messages, Dream texted Miss Mangro about the recording deals he was working on for her, including, we will have major distribution in about 30 days, so you better be ready. That's another stall tactic, okay? That's all that was. 30 more days of torture, forcing her to do things allegedly, and all of that. We're not knowing that he's not going to do anything and her career's not going anywhere. Dream frequently used this type of manipulation when he intertwined business promises with violent relations. Now, on February the 14th of 2015, Dream texted Miss Mangro that she must care about what he cares about and said, your life is now, you have a way, your life is now, you have way more room, but I will care about those things in your life like they are my own. Your mother is my mother. Your father, your brother, your friends are mine. Your enemies, I will inherit as enemies. Now, this is all contradictory to what he said prior, because remember, he told her prior she couldn't have anyone in her inner circle unless he approved of them and trusted them. Okay, so with that all being said, why would he have to worry about her enemies? Right? Why would he have to worry about her enemies? So when Miss Mangro said that she did not understand, Dream responded, this is that other ish, blood in, blood out. And you all know that's what they say in gangs. Like once you join, you can't get out. Basically is what he was saying. Now, the following day, Dream left Los Angeles for work obligations and gave Miss Mangro permission to go home to Amsterdam. Oh, he has to give her permission. Please pay attention. Okay, permission to go home to Amsterdam as long as she moved to Atlanta within 4 days. Miss Mangro was in a precarious state at the end of her Los Angeles trip. From a professional standpoint, Miss Mangro felt incredibly excited about the work that she had done and could really see her visions of becoming a recording artist come true. However, she also felt increasingly confused with and fearful of Dream. He was volatile and quick to anger if she did not quickly comply with his demands. Yet in such a short period of time, he also told her that he loved her, would protect her, and cared more about her than anyone else ever would. Now, see, when people tell you something like that, please don't listen to it. That's a manipulation tactic by demons and devils and narcissists, okay, and sociopaths and psychopaths. How can anyone ever tell you and know conclusively that the way they feel about you is more than anyone else ever could? Okay, they don't know that. They don't know that. Now, it was dizzying, which was precisely Dream's intent in his campaign of psychological and physical manipulation. Let me tell you something. At some point, I would have said, bump this. I'm not going to be sitting here compromising my integrity, doing things against my wishes just because I want a music career. But when some people have stars in their eyes, they're willing to risk it all in some cases. Now, Dream convinces Miss Mangrove to move to Atlanta, where Dream's manipulation and abuse escalates. So in order to convince Miss Mangrove to move to Atlanta, Dream promised that the contract was forthcoming, that he would find her an apartment to live in, and that he would pay her expenses in Atlanta until she received her advance. As a result, Miss Mangrove flew to Amsterdam on February the 17th of 2015 to pack all of her belongings and prepare to move to Atlanta. On the day she left Los Angeles, on the day before she left Los Angeles for Amsterdam, Dream texted Miss Mangrove saying, hopefully we will have a deal memo in place before you come back to confirm that was the plan. Okay, so that's just to make sure she comes back. Please pay attention. The lies and deceit, clearly running rampant. Now, on the same day, during a text conversation with Miss Mangrove, Dream text saying, I will not let anyone disrespect you. This contract will be fair and respectful from my end, period. And I'm going to pay your advance out of pocket, FYI. I also than Trick, there's clearly a typo. I don't know what he's trying to say. I also, other than Trick Stewart and Mark Stewart, would love to be involved in your management process. Now, before Miss Mangro could even respond to Dream's promise that her contract deal would be fair and respectful, Dream said, I need to see inside that, oh my Lord, I need to see inside that bussy though, as your man. Now, go in the restroom, pull your panties to the side, and take a pic. This is all sick. It is unlikely a coincidence that Panties to the Side is the name of a song written and sung by Dream. I want y'all to pay attention. The devil's telling themselves all the time. The devil's telling themselves all the time. Now, in an interview with Essence Magazine, he said the following about that track. He said, it's about a quickie. When you can't really get into it all the way and you can't take the panties all the way off. So you just push them to the side. Sometimes you do it just because it's hot. You have no reason not to take your clothes off, but you just keep them on. Everyone at essence.com should try it. Call your man at work and tell him, I want you to come home and pull my panties to the side. This is all sick. This is all sick and clearly nefarious. Because Miss Mangro is also a songwriter, she asked Dream whether the contract would include a publishing deal as well. In response, Dream said that he would love to do all of her stuff and that he had already told Big John, aka John Platt, the then chairman and CEO of Warner / Chappelle Music, once Miss Mangro was finished with the label, he will get with him to put her pub, which is the publishing deal, in place. Steady lying to this poor woman. Dream then told Miss Mangro to have her attorney put in any and all contracts that her option is always to go with Dream if there ever is a departure of Dream and Trick working together. This is what is referred to as a key man clause. So he wanted to be the key man. Basically said that if him and the other guys fall out, Mark and the other one, Tricky, that she's still going to be obligated to work with him and not them. Now, while Miss Mangro was in Amsterdam, Dream texted her incessantly, asking whether she was behaving, where she was, and what she was doing. Sounds like Diddy. Sounds like the same things Cassie said about Diddy. Okay, please pay attention. On February the 18th of 2015, Dream told Miss Mangro via text message that Rihanna had just sent him an SE-actual text, a not so subtle hint to remind Miss Mangro to be grateful for him because Rihanna was allegedly interested in him. And you know this was probably all lies and BS. Have you all seen Dream? Have you all seen Dream? I'm sorry. There's nothing attractive about him at all whatsoever. I remember wondering what Christina Milian wanted with him. Please pay attention. So on February the 19th of 2015, Dream texts Miss Mangro, you belong to me now. I'm your mother and father and everything. When Miss Mangro arrived in Atlanta on February the 21st of 2015, Garland picked her up from the airport with a gun sitting between them and the SUV. He told Miss Mangro that she needed his protection because Atlanta was a crazy place. Now, she discovered later that Garland was often carrying Dream's guns because Dream had a pending domestic violence charge and was not permitted to have weapons. That's when she should have seen that, okay, this clearly ain't right. That's when she should have known. The red flags that she had been ignoring, that should have been a huge wake-up call right then and right there. Domestic violence. Now you know that he's violent to women. Obviously has a pattern of it, or at least has done it more than once, not just her. That's when she should have woken up. I'm sorry. So Miss Mangro was put in an isolated residence inn, which was not within walking distance of anything. It did, however, allow Dream to come and go. Dream's ex-girlfriend, Lydia Nam, filed a police report in November of 2013 alleging that Dream strangled and physically assaulted her while she was pregnant in April of 2013. The case was dismissed in March of 2015. Presumably, Dream was not permitted to carry weapons while the case was pending. Yeah, that's one thing about domestic violence. You get arrested for DV, yeah, you're not supposed to have weapons. Now, it goes on to say that complaint seeking damages. Okay, Dream was not permitted to carry weapons while the case was pending, as he pleased without detection. He wasn't able to carry them as he pleased without detection. Now, Dream had his own key to Miss Mangrove's room and reminded her that he could stop by at any time. And he frequently did enter her hotel room with little or no notice. Miss Mangrove Miss Mangrove, who could not drive and was relying on Dream for money for all of her expenses because she had not yet received her contract in advance, was essentially trapped in the Residence Inn unless Garland took her somewhere. Here's the thing. What she should have told him before she came up there, before she moved to Atlanta, was she should have told him that she needed it in advance. She should have demanded. Because my thing is, first of all, most people that are professional and that really want to help advance your career, they don't want to be sleeping with you, okay? They don't want to be sleeping with you because they don't want that to come between the both of you making money. And people who are professional, money is the initial game, okay? It's for them to make money and to be successful, not laying up and sleeping around. This is all just crazy. And then he had her trapped at that hotel. She should have told him that she wasn't coming. One of her own conditions. Seems like she didn't make any conditions for herself. She just did whatever he told her to do willingly and went along with it. But it would have been good if she told him that she wasn't returning unless he was going to give her an advance. Because he said he was paying it out of his pocket. So what are you waiting on? What's the holdup? I wouldn't want to be in a strange place where I don't know people, and then I'm stuck somewhere because I can't drive, I don't have a vehicle, and then I'm only able to leave when you come or send someone to get me. And then I have to depend on you for every little thing that I do, including eat, because I have no money. Now, that would not have jived with me. This is all nefarious. So while she occasionally used Uber, Garland reiterated that it was a safety concern and that Dream expected him to transport her. Now, Garland made sure to let Miss Mangrove know how closely he was watching her when she took Ubers, as he would ask her why the Uber driver took a certain route, whether the driver was trying to talk to her, and how much she spoke to the driver. Very manipulating and controlling. Dream became increasingly controlling after Miss Mangrove moved to Atlanta. He told Miss Mangrove that she needed to check in with him every day and she needed to be available to him whenever he called, and that she should depend only on him for anything she needed. Not on herself, though, mind you. Miss Mangrove was no longer allowed to attend events or go to clubs with Dream. She was expected to stay in her hotel unless she was recording or at the gym. Garland regularly texted her to ask what she was eating and telling her to go to the gym while making unannounced visits to check on her. Dream forced Miss Mangrove to change her social media handles to include references to Contra Paris and regularly demanded that she remove certain posts from her social media, thereby further isolating her from the outside world. Now, Miss Mangrove had to beg to go to the studio. She was never given a schedule. Instead, she was just expected to be prepared to go whenever she was called. When she asked Dream if she could go to the studio, he would chastise her and call her a brat. I mean, this is really getting on my nerves. Like, this is really annoying. Okay, now he's further playing these psychological or mental gymnastics, okay? He's chastising her, calling her a brat, when all she's asking for is the bare minimum, things of which she should absolutely be allowed to do and shouldn't even have to ask. But never mind, he's the one acting like a whole brat and a predator to boot, because he is a predator if these allegations are in fact true. Now, he would tell her that she had to stop thinking about only herself. Wow, the irony of that. That he was an important producer who was working with a lot of important people, and that he did not have time for her nagging about getting into the studio. But he has time to come and have relations with her when she doesn't want to. It was not at all what Miss Mangrove expected after being in the studio nonstop during her first visit to Atlanta and Los Angeles. Everything felt different once she committed to living in Atlanta and was under Dream's complete control. Now, let's talk about that for a second, because for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, yes, Gerald said she was an SEX slave. Exactly. That's exactly what that sounds like. Sophie said he knew he broke her control. Exactly. Okay, this is all so egregious. This is all so egregious. Now I want you all to pay attention though, because all of the stuff that he was doing, I just told you all about this. I've mentioned it again today, but I have told you all about this. That when people first get into a relationship with you, whether it's an intimate relationship or a platonic relationship, nefarious people, they will play these sorts of games. This is what they'll do, and try to have you completely, bound to them, no matter what. Like you are completely reliant upon them, as if they're the only ones who can help you. Well, at the end of the day, the relationship's not benefiting you in any way. It's only serving to benefit them. And then goes on to say that she was nagging, and he told her that she was acting like a brat, and everything felt different. And here's the thing. Another thing that I told you guys is, I said people in these relationships, whether platonic or intimate, they will very often send their representative to greet you and meet you, which in the first 6 to 9 months of the relationship, they're doing and saying all the right things. They're letting you get your way. They're letting you have the things that you want. And they're trying to do their best to get you hooked by appeasing you. And that's what he was doing, apparently, because it says that when she first came there, okay, it says Miss Mangro expected, after being in the studio nonstop, her first visit to Atlanta and Los Angeles. Then all of a sudden, everything was different once she committed, because that's when he knew that he had her. But when he was trying to coax and coerce her and get her to bend to his will and do what he wanted, of course he's going to let her go to the studio as much as she wants, because he wants her to take him seriously. And that's what wicked, nefarious people do. You see, they are devils because they mix lies with the truth to confuse you. That's what they do. They mix lies with the truth to confuse you. Just like he was telling her that he was responsible for Beyonce and Rihanna's success, and that he was writing these songs for them and all of that, and he helped to get them to where they were. Well, that's partially true. He was writing these hit songs for them. That was helping them to get to where they were. But the other stuff where he's acting like Rihanna wants to have relations with him, and that she's just buying him all of his gifts and stuff, and that Beyonce's telling him stuff about her being pregnant even before she told her husband, that's all just a whole load of lies and BS. I don't believe that for a second. I absolutely believe that was all lies and manipulation tactics. So goes on to say, everything felt different once she committed to living in Atlanta and was under Dream's complete control. In between berating Miss Mangro, Dream continued coming to her hotel or meeting her in the studio whenever he wanted to demand relations. He also began doing walkthroughs of her hotel room to look through all of Miss Mangro's belongings, including her medication. Sounds like Diddy. Remember how they said in the lawsuit that Diddy had Cassie's medical information even being sent to his email? What doctors, what a hospital, what nurses, what medical staff or practitioners were doing this? Now, he got angry when he discovered that Miss Mangro was taking birth control pills and demanded that she throw them away. According to Dream, it was a sign of disrespect to try to prevent a pregnancy by him. That's another thing. If you're serious about getting someone into, getting them their career started and having them open up for Beyonce and all of that, why would you want them to be pregnant? You would want them to protect themselves from that, because that's nothing but a setback in most cases. So why would you be so upset that they're trying to prevent bringing a child into the world when they're trying to get their career off the ground? If you have their best interest in mind, you would be thinking the same thing. So that was clearly a red flag. Miss Mangro, who had no desire to be pregnant at the time, began hiding her birth control pills under her mattress. Not surprisingly, Miss Mangro had a pregnancy scare shortly after she arrived to live in Atlanta. Dream sent Garland to buy a pregnancy test, and when it came back negative, Miss Mangro let Dream know via text. He immediately called Miss Mangro and screamed at her for almost an hour because he said it was an insult to him that she was happy that she was not pregnant. Oh, honey, this is a whole lot. This is mentally exhausting, okay? Now, in the very early morning of February the 25th of 2015, while at Triangle Sound Studio, Dream plied Miss Mangro with alcohol and Mary Jane and forced her to have relations with him while he recorded it. Miss Mangro, who was highly intoxicated, tried to stop Dream from recording, but he refused. The next day, Garland told Miss Mangro that for a skinny girl, she had nice curvy thighs. It was the first time Garland had ever made a comment about her body. While she had no way of knowing whether that was a coincidence, it certainly seemed designed to send the message that Dream shared the unconsented tape, and she was humiliated. I'm telling you, this all sounds like Diddy, because let's not forget how 50 Cent came out and said that someone sent him pictures of Diddy and footage of Cassie. Okay, this sounds like it's commonplace in this industry. Everybody who has been harassed, brutalized, assaulted, raped, used as an sex slave, and any of that, coerced, blackballed, blacklisted because they didn't comply, all of these people need to come out right now. Every last one of them, because I guarantee it's probably hundreds. There's no telling. This has been going on for decades, I'm sure. The entire music industry needs to be called out, as far as I'm concerned. These people are sick and demented if these allegations are true, and I absolutely believe that they are. Now, Dream would later regularly use the recording to threaten Miss Mangro that he could share it to anyone he wanted. Same thing Cassie said about Diddy. Wow, these birds of a feather. Dream insisted that Miss Mangro tell him that she loved him. She regularly had to send him text messages expressing how grateful and thankful she was for him in order to avoid being screamed at for being a brat. She was also expected to regularly buy him flowers to express her gratitude. Really? Dream began having Garland call Miss Mangro at all hours of the day and or night to ensure she was in her hotel room, while he was probably out doing whatever he wanted to do, mind you. Now, if Miss Mangro was sleeping or unavailable for any reason, Dream would get infuriated. So these people are forcing people into relationships with them, which sounds very reminiscent of Diddy. And when I think about how Diddy was doing all this stuff to Cassie, like pretty much forcing Cassie to be in a relationship with him, and then after she left, he was all sad, supposedly, and wanted her back and was doing all this stuff to win her back. Why would you want her back? She never wanted you in the first place. You held her hostage in that relationship, Diddy. Okay, if the allegations are all true, and that sounds like the same thing going on here. Dream and Garland also began monitoring the food that Miss Mangro ate and how often she worked out, because Dream thought she had gotten too thin and wanted her to be curvier, especially specifically suggesting that she should change her body in anticipation for the Beyonce tour that she would be able to open for. Miss Mangro was often very hungry because Garland monitored what she ate. If she mentioned something she ate, Dream would tell her that she would need to work out extra hard the next day. Miss Mangro considered Garland to be something of a confidant when she first arrived in Atlanta. He often asked how she was doing and was initially very kind to her. However, if she complained that she had not been to the studio for a few days, or that she was stuck in her hotel room for several days in a row, Garland would tell her that all she needed to worry about was keeping Dream happy. As he explained in substance, saying that if Dream says something is vanilla, even if you see and know it's chocolate, if Dream tells you it's vanilla, it's vanilla. Garland casually made statements that he would kill anyone who had an issue with Dream. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. So now he's threatening her too. That's what that is. Now he's threatening her, putting fear in her. And so for people who say, why don't they just leave? Well, this is often why. Given that he regularly displayed his gun, Miss Mangro took his statement as a veiled threat. Now, Garland casually made statements that he would kill anyone. Okay, I'm sorry, I read that already. Hold on. Now, Miss Mangro continued to ask when she would be allowed back in the studio to record, but Dream continued to push it off. She also asked if she could start writing songs, given that Dream said her deal would include a publishing songwriting component, but she was not permitted to write anything. Dream considered an insult that she asked and accused her of insulting his songwriting. Miss Mangro continued asking about her contract. On February the 28th of 2015, Dream said that her contract will be finished soon, and again ordered Miss Mangro to ensure that her attorney inserted a key man clause into her contract with Contra Paris, the Contra contract. And as Dream wrote in an email to Miss Mangro, basically no matter terms or partners, ultimately you choose to exit binding participants in contract other than Terrius Nash, aka Dream. If Dream goes, you go. still remaining bonded to Terius the Dream Nash for remaining term of any contract or of the contract, if any. Now, the footnote says, upon information and belief, Dream legally changed his name from Terius Nash to Terius Gesteld Diamonds in or around 2020. Now, with little to no anonymity or freedom, Miss Mangro continued to tell Dream what he wanted to hear, that she was loyal to him, that she wanted the money, or that she wanted the key man clause, and that she loved him. During the second week of March 2015, after a few weeks in the Residence Inn, Miss Mangro discovered bed bugs in her room and asked Garland to place her in a new hotel. This sounds like a cheap hotel. Okay, it sounds like it was cheap just for the name of it, Residence Inn. Anything with N in it is not fancy, okay? It's not top scale. Now, Dream has all this money. That would definitely have been a red flag. Why is she staying in a darn inn, okay, or a motel? Those are the equivalent of each other as far as I'm concerned. So goes on to say, for reasons known only to Dream, Miss Mangrove's request infuriated him. He screamed that she was trying to take advantage of him, that she was not loyal, and that she was a brat. Miss Mangro tried desperately to explain herself, but Dream's anger continued to escalate. He told her that it was her fault that Beyonce's album was delayed and that he had the right to tell her what to do to him sexually to make it up to him. He demanded that Miss Mangro apologize to him for the delays to Beyonce's album, while he forced her to perform sexually by commanding fellatio. Dream roughly shoveled his cucumber in Miss Mangrove's mouth until she was choking. Then she attempted to signal, or when she attempted to signal with her hands that she was choking, he said that he was her boss and continued forcing the cucumber on her. Eventually, Dream began to choke Miss Mangrove with both hands. This is all terrible. As she began to pass out, Dream continued to scream that she was taking advantage of him. Dream stormed out and left Miss Mangrove in shock and with several bruises on her neck. Fortunately, she knew that Dream was leaving town shortly, so she would have a few days to recover. Dream never apologized or mentioned the strangling incident again, and unfortunately, it would not be the last time that he became physically abusive with Miss Mangrove. At this point, honey, I wouldn't even have wanted to be in the industry. I'm sorry. At this point, I'd have been like, oh no, honey, I can't do this. I cannot even deal with it. Actually, long before this, but I'm just saying, even specifically after all of this, how do you still want a career? How do you still want to work with this man? He's a whole demon. Now, on or around March 14th of 2015, Dream left Atlanta to handle work obligations elsewhere. Miss Mangrove wished him a safe flight before he took off, but when she did not text him the following day, he texted her saying, you know damn well you need to check in. Ooh, honey, these people are just amazing to me. Just so appalling to hear these things. Because, you know, just looking at these people and seeing them on TV and at award shows and being so praised and all that, you know, most people would never think that this is what they would do, that this is how they behave, that this is how they treat people. RG Titan said the music industry isn't worth selling your soul, period, point blank. No, absolutely not, beloved. Nothing is. Okay, RG Titan says, I'm trying to figure out how the young lady didn't identify the red flags. Beloved, she ignored them is what she did. She clearly ignored them. Like I told you guys on the spiritual channel, what people will sometimes do when they don't want to face the truth. And they want to make excuses for people's nefarious behavior. Now, Queen V said, this shows they have been doing this for years. I believe it's hundreds doing this. No way this goes this long without assistance. Absolutely. I absolutely agree, beloved. I think there is no telling how many people have had to endure such treatment. Okay? And this sounds like it's very much so a commonplace thing that happens all the time on a regular basis. It's so sad to say. Now, I remember being young and hearing about the casting couch and all that stuff, where it comes to, you know, people trying to get ahead in the music industry, or not the music industry, but in the entertainment industry as far as acting and stuff like that. But this is all real crazy. And so now, as I sit here and ponder, and I think about how years ago when I was in college, I read Diana Ross's unauthorized biography where they talked about how she slept her way to the top. Well, it looks like and sounds like that's the only way you get to the top, is to sleep your way to it. That's what it sounds like from all of these nefarious allegations that we have been hearing as of late. It sounds like that's what you have to do, is sleep your way to the top, lest you stay at the bottom. Reggie said, nothing on the Tell Live Vision is real. That's why I watch the Queen on YouTube. Thank you, beloved. This is all nefarious. Jay Great says that Dutchavelli, Drake, and Diddy is worse, Queen. Look that up. Ooh, honey, I don't doubt it, honey. These people are just sounding more and more nefarious as the days go by. Okay? As the days go by. Please pay attention. Queen V said there should be no statute of limitations on abuse period in this country. Time to lobby. I agree, because all the stuff we're hearing. I was just calling Diddy Kruger yesterday. Well, Dream is a nightmare. Oh, okay, I know, right? Reggie says, Damon Wilson said everyone's holes are annihilated. This is all so crazy. This is all so crazy. Let me get back to the basics, honey, because I absolutely cannot. Christian One Love said, this show is real all day, every day. Thank you, beloved. Terry Lee King said, Queen is on fire today. Love you. I love you too, beloved. Queen, these industry demons always have understudies. Look at Diddy and his son. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. And it's really sad because let's not forget that his son, Christian King Combs, is now, being sued himself. This is all terrible. But let me continue. So goes on to say, let me see where I was. Okay, so Miss Mangro responded that she had checked in with Garland. Oh, that's when he said, damn well you're supposed to check in when he went out of town. And then during the next few days, Miss Mangro made sure to say hello or good morning. When she missed one day on or around March the 21st of 2015, Dream texted her, you're not checking in. Miss Mangro responded that she had checked in with Garland every day as she was required to do. On the following day, Dream texted Miss Mangro to say, my international wife, I think it's time for me to hit that bussy. Okay, when are you having my baby? 2023. When Miss Mangro did not immediately respond, Dream text, you're ignoring me now? When he came back to town, I wouldn't have been there. I would have caught the first flight back to wherever I came from, honey. This is all crazy. Now, Miss Mangro immediately responded in fear. No, I'm not ignoring you. I'm studying. Dream then threatened Miss Mangro that he was going to drive over to where she was and said he was on his way, even though Miss Mangro later learned that he was not even in the state at the time. Clear manipulation. Sociopathic tendencies is what it sounds like. When Miss Mangro did not respond quickly enough, Dream text saying, this is death ignoring. You better not be cheating on me. As soon as Miss Mangro saw her messages, she told Dream that her phone was on silent to try to placate his escalating anger. When Dream returned from his trip, Miss Mangro tried to focus on recording and stayed focused on her goals while keeping Dream as calm as possible. On the rare occasions that Miss Mangro was allowed to go into the studio, Garland said that Dream told him to make sure she was liquored up before getting there. Now, why would he want her liquored up? This is your artist that you're trying to build with, trying to help her, supposedly. But you want her liquored up? No, that's because he didn't care anything about her career. He never intended on giving her a lucrative career. All he wanted to do was use her for his own nefarious pleasure. That's why he wanted her liquored up, so she protested less and be more complicit or easier for him to handle, if these allegations are true. Now, if Dream was at the studio when Miss Mangro arrived, he would check to make sure she was intoxicated. And if he did not think she was drunk enough, he would forcefully pull her hair back and force her to drink more alcohol. If Miss Mangro wore her hair in a ponytail, Dream would roughly yank her head back and pull out her hair tie. Miss Mangro had become so isolated and so dependent on Dream for food and shelter in such a short period of time that it became increasingly difficult for her to comprehend the reality of her situation. This is really sad and sickening. This is starting to sound like slavery. I'm sorry, not starting to. It's been sounding like slavery. This is exactly what it sounds like. Now, Miss Mangro is signed to Contra Paris and Epic Records. Now, in or around March of 2015, Dream told Miss Mangro that Antonio L.A. Reid reached out to him about signing her to Epic Records. Dream said that he would handle all the negotiations with Epic, refusing to include Miss Mangro and insisting that any questions she asked him to get a better understanding of the situation were disrespectful. So here's the thing. So you mean to tell me she can't speak up for herself? She doesn't get to know what's going to be included in her own contract. He gets to negotiate on her behalf like he's her attorney. If that's the case, why did he tell her to have her attorney put the key man clause in there and all these other things? Now, at or around the same time, Miss Mangro was staying at a new hotel that provided a driver who would take guests to destinations within a short distance. Now, this was the first time Miss Mangro had any freedom to control when and where she could eat. She often asked the driver to take her to get food and got to know him a bit. This is what happened with Cassie and her now husband, Alex Fine. I guarantee you this is the same thing that happened with her and Alex Fine when he was training her and Diddy. That gave Cassie a chance to speak with him privately and get to know him and then start telling him some of the nefarious things that was going on. I guarantee you. So after several weeks, the driver expressed concern for Miss Mangro because, as he said, she was always alone. She never left the hotel except to get food, and she did not appear well. This was taking a toll on her mentally and physically, I do believe. Now, it was the first time that Miss Mangro had any real contact with anyone other than Dream and the people he surrounded himself with. She felt embarrassed and ashamed that the driver could tell something was wrong. Miss Mangro knew that her physical and mental state were deteriorating and was trying to figure out a way to go back home until she had her recording contract in place that she believed would protect her from Dream's control and abuse, especially being given that most of her time was spent alone, just waiting for Dream or someone from his team to tell her she needed to be in the studio. Dream, who was married, had a child on the way in May 2015. So he was married this whole time. Low down, dirty skank. But let me continue. Dream, who was married, had a child on the way in May of 2015. So he was more distracted than usual. Miss Mangro used that time to ask if she should leave for a few days or if she could leave for a few days to visit her mother. This again sounds like Diddy because Rodney Jones said that he too had to ask permission to leave to go visit his family, even for holidays. Now, Dream told her that she could only go home if she left all of her belongings with Garland. So she can't take her own things? Perhaps sensing Miss Mangro's newfound realization of the abusive situation she was in, Dream's sexual assaults intensified. Now, on one occasion, Dream told Miss Mangro that he wanted to take her to a movie. When they arrived, there was another man in the theater who they did not know. Dream demanded that Miss Mangro perform fellatio on him while the man watched. Now, I'm sorry, isn't this the same thing that April Lampro said that Diddy did to her in that parking lot, in that parking garage, that there was a security person sitting there watching? Wow. It was a physically painful encounter. On the same evening, Dream took Miss Mangro to the parking lot of the Triangle Sound Studio in his Sprinter van, which had been remodeled as a tour van with a mattress in the back. Once they arrived at the gated lots, Dream told Miss Mangro that they were not actually going to the studio, but instead he asked her to leave and enter the van from a separate entrance at a different time than he did, seemingly in an attempt to keep his plans a secret from others present at the studio. Once in the van, Dream locked the doors and pushed Miss Mangro into the dark back area of the van. He pinned her on the mattress in the van, took off her clothes, and started forcibly having relations with her. He pressed his full body weight onto Miss Mangro while covering her mouth and nose with his hands so that she was unable to breathe. He told her that he was angry that she wanted to go home and screamed at her that she was difficult and ungrateful as he forced himself on her. Dream then began to choke Miss Mangro, demanding that she tell her, "Are you mine?" Okay, that's clearly a typo. Basically said that she had to tell him that she was his and instructed her to say, "You're mine." Now, his aggression scared Miss Mangro, and the choking became so intense that she believes that she might have lost consciousness at one point during the ordeal. He told Miss Mangro that she better remember who she belongs to while she was gone, demanded that she tell him that she loved him, and further told her that he knows everything about her and is the foundation of her career and of her record project. Now, once he finished, he instructed Garland to come to the parking lot and take Miss Mangro back to her hotel. So she didn't even go to the studio at all. Please pay attention. It was all a whole ruse. Miss Mangro had bruises across her neck from Dream's strangulation. Miss Mangro left for Amsterdam with one small bag on or around April the 7th of 2015. At that time, Dream instructed Miss Mangro that she could only be in Amsterdam for a few weeks as the recording contract and distribution deal were finalized and executed. In or around April the 11th of 2015, Miss Mangro texted Dream about a Billboard magazine interview that he did that had just been published. He previously told her that he was going to discuss her as one of his new artists in the interview. She never came up to the interview, so she texts Dream to ask why she was not mentioned. Okay, she never came up in the interview, so he didn't mention her. And when she texted him to ask about it, it was an innocent inquiry, but caused Dream to fly into a rage. He sent several pages of text messages in response saying, "It wasn't about you. It was about me. Don't patronize me, Chani. You know I'm smarter than that, and stop being so selfish. Don't ever call me about something so minute. Again, please. You treat me like I'm some side bitch or something. You treat me like I'm some side bitch or something, or as if I'm not important just because I made you important. I'm giving up. I'll let everyone know where we stand." Okay, this all sounds like the ramblings of a madman. I'm sorry. This is all nefarious in the worst way. Miss Mangro, who was just excited about the possibility of being mentioned in the article, was completely taken aback by his reaction because he was becoming more and more unpredictable. She realized that anything she asked him had the potential to make him angry. And see, this is the thing. That's because he was lying. Everything he was telling her was nothing but a whole lot of lies. And so, of course, her questioning any of it makes him angry. That's what a narcissist does. You ask a narcissist something and they know they're lying about it, they're going to immediately start going off. Okay? That's to show anger and aggressiveness to get you to shut up and stop talking about whatever it is that they don't want to address. And so she was very thankful to be having the conversation via text instead of in person. And, you know, you guys, I believe that I'm going to have Dr. LaShawn Clark back on the show. You all may remember I've had her on here before when we talked about narcissists and things of that nature. Now, Dream refused to speak to Miss Mangro for several days, and she was left completely in the dark about whether he was planning to move forward with Miss Mangro's record. Garland then texted Miss Mangro to say that he had spoken to Dream. He told her that she needed to play her role, show she was humble, show her passion and loyalty, and provide a gift to Dream as a peace offering. Honey, she gifted herself to him. I wouldn't have been sending him any darn thing. This is also egregious. Now, Garland suggested customized Contra Paris clothing to prove to Dream that she was committed. Dream eventually responded to Miss Mangro. She was forced to reiterate how grateful she was for him and tell him that he meant everything to her and so forth. She continued texting Dream good morning to ensure that she was checking in as he ordered. Now, on or around April the 16th of 2015, Dream texted Miss Mangro to say that Reed and Epic Records were going to be their partner on her record deal. This essentially meant that once she signed a recording contract with Contra, she would sign a distribution contract with Epic. Once both of the contracts were signed, Miss Mangro's album could be finalized and then released. Now, on April 21st of 2015, while Miss Mangro was still in Amsterdam, she finally signed the Contra contract. The Contra contract was a recording and shopping contract that provided Contra with exclusive rights to all audio and audiovisual recordings, in addition to a 6-month time period to enter into or substantially negotiate distribution agreement. Now, the Contra contract specifically noted that Dream was an agent of Contra, and upon information and belief, he was also the principal of the LLC. On May 1st of 2015, Ms. Mangro then signed the Epic Records contract. And on that same day, Dream texted Ms. Mangro saying it will always be mine, not just your bussy. All of you, your blood, your mind, your heart. He sounds real sick. Dream maintained complete control over communications concerning Ms. Mangro's deal in Epic. He refused to connect her to anyone directly or even to include her in an email or text chains with the executives from the major record label that she was now signed to. This sounds like Diddy also. If you remember, Cassie said something similar about this, I do believe. Okay. So this is all crazy because remember the part of Cassie's lawsuit where it said that allegedly Diddy got upset because Cassie was talking to another manager. Now, Miss Mangro meets with representatives from Epic and Dream becomes jealous, possessive, and violent. Miss Mangro had a return ticket booked to Atlanta for May the 12th of 2015. She texted Dream to confirm that he wanted her to return on that date, but given that his own son was born just a few days earlier, he told Miss Mangro that he would let her know when to return to Atlanta. Now, finally, in late May of 2015, Miss Mangro was told that Reed and Joey Arbaji, former executive vice president A&R at Epic Records, wanted to meet her in person. She returned to Atlanta on or around May the 26th of 2015 to prepare. Dream told her to practice 3 specific records for the meeting: Married to the Game, 187, and Road. However, when they got to the studio with Reed, Dream began playing a 4th song called Cream, one that Dream specifically refused to send to her to allow her to practice in an effort to embarrass and sabotage her in front of L.A. Reid. Isn't that something? Now, this is when she should have definitely known, if she'd not known any time prior, this is when she definitely should have known that this man didn't have any good intentions. Why would you want to embarrass your own artist? Jay Gray said, this is crazy. Classic example of taking control through violence or threats or threats of violence. Violence is the only language certain people understand, so you have to give them it. Slaves and slave masters. Okay? This is all nefarious. Sandra says it's long been time to take back what these devils have stolen. Christopher said he is a devil. Absolutely, he is, from the sounds of it. I mean, if these allegations are true, and they likely are. So he wanted to embarrass her. Wow. So goes on to say, hold on, let me see where I'm at. Okay, so he wanted to embarrass her in front of L.A. Reid. Okay, now after Miss Mangro performed, Dream turned his chair toward her and placed his hands on her bare inner thigh and stroked her leg in front of Reid and Arbaji or Abagi, whatever this name is pronounced, while the group spoke about her performance. It was humiliating for Miss Mangro and served only to assert Dream's dominance over her. He wanted to let them know that he was sleeping with her. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do that so they didn't get any ideas, because I'm sure she was an attractive young lady, mind you. And so during the group conversation, Reid said that he liked how sexy Miss Mangro was, which infuriated Dream. After Reid and Arbaji left the studio, Dream mentioned Reid's comments and forcefully had relations with Miss Mangro in the vocal booth while Garland guarded the studio door. It was so rough and painful that Miss Mangro began to bleed. This is all so sad. Miss Mangro did not want to have relations with Dream at the time and certainly did not consent to the physical violence and force that he used during the encounter. During this trip to Atlanta, Miss Mangro celebrated her 24th birthday, and she posted a selfie to her social media to celebrate the occasion. Dream immediately texted her to delete it. Wow. She quickly complied. Dream replied, "You can't keep doing and undoing. If you don't get it, just say you don't, and we can move on. I got my own ish to worry about." It was yet another not so subtle threat that if Miss Mangro did not do exactly as she was told, Dream could destroy her career. I want you all to pay attention. For those of you following the spiritual channel, didn't we just talk about this today? How some of these people give thinly veiled threats, and they say things in a subtle manner, sometimes in a passive aggressive way, just to let you know. Goes on to say that it was yet another not so subtle threat that if this was not so subtle, basically, but nonetheless, he uses threats to get her to comply. Now, it was a not so subtle threat that if Miss Mango did not do exactly as she was told, Dream could destroy her career. Miss Mango flew back to Amsterdam on or around May the 29th of 2015 to await further details about the next steps. On or around May the 19th of 2015, Epic wired Miss Mangro $35,000. That was her advance. Okay, it was only then that Miss Mangro was provided with any compensation for the work that she had been doing for Dream since January. Miss Mangro was told that Dream and Tricky both received, wow, $150,000 upon the execution of the contract. So they both got paid. And she only got $35,000. This is all some bullshit, okay, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Miss Mangro remained extremely confused about the next steps, but became afraid to ask Dream any scheduling questions because he took that as a sign of disrespect. She reached out to sound engineer Shoudell to ask if he knew anything about the schedule. She told Shoudell that Dream told her they were going to finish recording the album in Las Vegas, but that she was not given any time frame despite trying to figure it out. Shoudell confirmed that Dream said the same thing to him and then said, but not allowed to ask about timing, right? That's what he said to me too. Vegas, wonder when, if I hear anything, I'll let you know. Now, Miss Mangro responded, yes, I will let you know too. It's crazy, right? I don't know anything about my album that I was supposed to get scheduled. Nothing. Honey, this all sounds heartbreaking. I'm sorry. For a young person out there trying to struggle to get their career off the ground, this absolutely sounds deplorable. Now, Miss Mangro also started asking Dream more questions about Beyonce's tour because he continued to regularly tell her that she was prepping for it. Dream played Miss Mangro a song that he wrote for Beyonce that featured Jay-Z. He told Miss Mangro that he was not allowed to play the song for anyone, but he allowed her to hear it to get her excited for the tour. Weeks later, Miss Mangro mentioned to Shoudell that Dream played her a new Beyonce song. She was excited about hearing it and asked Shoudell not to tell Dream. She told him that she heard it. However, to her shock, Shoudell told Miss Mangro that it was an old record they had cut and that it ultimately did not make Beyonce's previous album. So lying. Just lying again. It was not part of a new album or tour. In fact, as it turned out, Beyonce was not preparing for a tour at all. Lord, just shattering this poor young woman's hearts and dreams. Please pay attention. Her heart and dreams. Miss Mangro started to realize that the dizzying whirlwind Dream had led her through was a mirage. And she started to fear that Dream never truly wanted to produce her record, but just wanted to control her physically and mentally. What a shame. In mid-June of 2015, Miss Mangro asked Dream when she could come back to start working again. She said, you do know you need to approve if I want to go out there. You're the one that controls my budget. Also, I can be there this weekend, so it's up to you. After Dream responded that he thought Miss Mangro was flying herself to Atlanta, i.e. using her own money instead of the money in her Epic budget, Miss Mangro said that she could not do that, but she thought Dream wanted her to stay there, which she could not afford to do on her own. I mean, she only had $35,000, and that might sound like a lot, but it isn't. When you have to fly back and forth and you have to pay for constant stays and hotels every day on a regular budget. And so Dream told her that he did not want to burn out your budget we're planning on finishing the record in Las Vegas. More lies. Honey, these lies are getting more and more nefarious, okay? And I would not have been falling for all of this foolishness. Now, as a result, Miss Mangro was forced to continue waiting for Dream to give permission or provide permission to use her budget for her traveling and living expenses, or to go back into a studio to continue recording her music. Throughout July, Miss Mangro continued to wait. She was fearful of asking too many questions because of the way Dream reacted. However, Dream also became angry and called her disinterested if she was not regularly keeping in touch. It was an impossible balance. So she was damned if she did and damned if she didn't. In mid-July, Dream reached out to Miss Mangro to say he was planning her first showcase for the label in August and was working on the radio edit for Married to the Game. Now, Miss Mangro said she was looking forward to the details. Later the same day, Dream text saying, "I need to F you now." Oh, this is all crazy. I would have gone to the police a long time ago. The first time he tried, I would have been at the police right there knocking on the door, honey. Okay, filing reports. Okay, career be damned. I would have had to been pressing charges, and especially already knowing that he was a whole person that had this domestic situation previously, even though he didn't get convicted of it because the lady didn't want to go through with the charges. But nonetheless. Now, the following day, when Miss Mangro did not immediately respond to a text message, Dream texted her, "You better not be effing cheating. Where the F you at?" Ooh, honey, this is all crazy. In late July, Dream began pressuring Miss Mangro to hire Cynthia Campbell, an assistant who Dream personally knew, but who had little experience with musicians, and to pay her $15,000 for the first 3 months. He told Miss Mangro to move in with Campbell, presumably as a way to keep close track of Miss Mangro. $15,000 out of her $35,000. That's the same amount of money we're talking about. Okay, because he sounds real crazy. Dream also scolded Miss Mangro for failing to buy Garland a gift after her contracts were signed, given that Garland was the person who connected her to Dream. While appreciative of Epic's $35,000 advance, Miss Mangro had been working and then sitting around without any compensation for months. Now, the advance was not enough money for Miss Mangro to hire her own assistant, pay for her living expenses, and pay Garland a finder's fee. Miss Mangro had no idea when or if another paycheck was coming. It would seem to me that he would have been the one to pay for a finder's fee. Okay, because he made the most of the money off of her getting signed. He got $150,000. And so did Garland. So why did she need to give him anything? Didn't they both get $150,000? Now, Garland then began pressuring her, Miss Mangro, to give him $10,000 to expand his security business. He said that Dream promised to pay him a finder's fee, but had not paid it, and that he was in a precarious financial situation. Honey, let me tell you something. If that's you and Dream's problem, what do I have to do with that? I didn't promise you anything. If Dream promised to give you money and he didn't, you need to go talk that slick stuff to him. Now, for the first time, Miss Mangro pushed back. She told Dream that with only $35,000, she did not have enough money to pay Campbell, rent an apartment, and give Garland money or gifts. Dream was angry and chastised Miss Mangro for being selfish. Woo, honey, let me tell you all something. This is absolutely exhausting. Okay, this is absolutely exhausting. Little X said lying through his teeth. Okay, I'm sorry, but I think at some point early on, if he had been trying to talk like that to me and putting hands on me with honey, me and him would have been fighting like cowboys and Indians, okay? We would have been fighting like cowboys and Indians. This is all crazy. So anyway, he chastised her for being selfish, accusing her of not being serious about music because she could not pay for her own assistant and did not treat people who helped her to get where she was correctly. Oh, but he did. Miss Mangro attempted to explain, but there was no point. Dream simply continued berating her. Soon thereafter, Dream coerced Miss Mangro to have relations in the bathroom. He purposely banged her face against the sink, causing her right eye to swell and bruise. What? Several people in the studio asked what happened to her eye. Miss Mangro lied and said she ran into something. Oh, yeah, that would have been the last straw right there. That would have been the last straw. Honey, y'all have seen me on Snap. I'm not even playing around. Y'all would have seen me on Snap if somebody tried this. Oh, my Lord, I cannot. Let me just take a sip. This is absolutely worst case scenario. Please pay attention. Miss Mangro tries to complete her album and is subjected to repeated abuse by Dream. Now, by the end of July 2015, Miss Mangro was desperate to get back into the studio, finish her work, and move on to the next step in the process. She believed that being signed to Epic would provide the necessary buffer between her and Dream. Miss Mangro should have been given some control over her recording budget, but Dream maintained full control over it via his role as chairman of Contra. Overseeing Miss Mangro's budget allowed Dream to book and arrange everything, so he maintained complete control over Miss Mangro. As a result, when Miss Mangro returned to Atlanta to finish her record, she was living in mid-range hotels and Airbnbs, while her recording engineers were placed in 4-star hotels. Isn't that nothing? This was designed to punish and embarrass Miss Mangro because Dream was angry that she requested a new hotel during her last stay. Now, when Miss Mangro questioned why those supporting her album were placed in better hotels than she was, Dream made snide remarks about her only wishing she could stay in 4-star hotels. He called her ungrateful. Miss Mangro got back into the studio in early August of 2015. Dream and Tricky began demanding that she pay for the food they ordered. Oftentimes, Dream would not touch the food. It was just a test and a way for Dream to control the small amount of money she was given. So he wanted her to spend up all her money. So once again, she'd be back in his control because she wouldn't have any way to get to where she was going to pay for food and you know, just even the simplest little personal things that she would need. This is all so sad. This is all so sad. Now it goes on to say, okay, so he would not even touch the food and just want to control the small money that she was given. Dream also made Miss Mangro order champagne and cupcakes for the studio personnel. What? He said that she needed to learn how to treat the people supporting her, which was ironic given the way he treated her. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely ironic. Now, Dream's abusive behavior continued to escalate. While recorded in August of 2015, another artist complimented Miss Mangro's shoes, which angered Dream. He locked Miss Mangro locked her into a room off of the studio and actually and physically assaulted her while Garland guarded the door. Now, see, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to something, because this guy Garland, whom Dream said she should have given him $10,000 at least for a finder's fee, whom she said that she met on social media, and this is the person who promised that he would introduce her to Dream. This person sounds like he's a recruiter. You see, like, this is what he does. He goes out and recruits talent to bring to Dream, allegedly, if this is all to be believed, goes out and recruits people for him to just do these things to. Because, hey, I don't think this was his first time. I don't think that this is his first time having done this. And I think that likely that whole situation with him and Christina Milian probably started out the same way. Theirs just ended in a marriage and a child. This is all so sick. Now, on one occasion, Miss Mangro's A&R and Epic, Erica Coulter, joined Dream and Miss Mangro in the studio. During this session, Coulter personally witnessed Dream pulling Miss Mangro's hair tie out, pulling her hair back to open her mouth, and forcibly pouring vodka down her throat. Coulter also saw Dream touch Miss Mangro's body while in the studio. When Miss Mangro caught Coulter's eyes, she motioned to her, asking if she saw what just happened and suggesting she was uncomfortable. Coulter brushed off Dream's violent actions. Coulter also saw explicit sexual text messages between Dream and Miss Mangro during this session, leaving no doubt that she knew what Dream's true intentions with Miss Mangro were. Now, mind you, this is the woman who was the A&R for Epic. Now, around the same time, and let's not forget that Dream put his hands on her inner thigh when she was supposedly in the meeting with L.A. Reid. Okay? Which would imply that they knew that he was messing around with her or whatever. Do you really want artists that you're signing messing around with your producers and stuff like that? People that you're working with? That just makes a whole lot of mess. So this is why Epic is being sued. So around the same time, Dream told Miss Mangro that he got his gun license back and could start carrying his own guns again. Now, why is he telling her this? more tactics of intimidation and thinly veiled threats. Now, in a show of violent machismo, Dream, Garland, and others arranged for Dream's multiple firearms to be returned to him in the parking lot of Tricky's studio by means of parking two cars next to each other and ostensibly moving guns from one car to the other. Miss Mangrove witnessed this entire charade and was terrified of Dream's comfort with guns. This was all on purpose. That's what he wanted to do, is terrify her. After this, Dream regularly kept a gun on him. Now, when he forced Miss Mangrove to have relations, he would often place the gun next to her as a warning. Wow. Miss Mangrove was becoming increasingly isolated from her family. She spent so much of her time worrying about keeping Dream happy that she had little time to focus on anything else. Sounds like Cassie again. Let's not forget how Young Jock said that Diddy told her to shave her head and then asked her, are you really going to do that? And she said, anything Sean wants, whatever Sean wants, I'm going to do. Out of fear, not because she wanted to, not because she was thrilled and happy to do so, but out of fear and coercion, allegedly. Now, Dream began getting pushy about meeting Miss Mangrove's mother. She tried to put it off because she was afraid that Dream would hurt her mother or that her mother would see Dream's abuse. Eventually, Miss Mangrove's mother arrived in Atlanta while Miss Mangrove was recording at the studio. Miss Mangrove's mother went to the studio to pick up Miss Mangrove and met the sound engineer, Nate Alford. Now, when Alford told Dream that he met Miss Mangrove's mother, Dream was furious because Alford met her before he did. Dream was livid and pulled Miss Mangrove to the staircase of the studio. While in the staircase, Dream forcefully pulled Miss Mangrove's dress up, forced her down the stairs, down on the stairs, and proceeded to forcibly GrAPE her from behind while he held her arms with one hand and holding the collar of her dress with another. Wow, with the other. Now, Miss Mangrove was unable to move, with Dream completely controlling her body. He pulled the dress collar tightly around her neck, and Miss Mangrove gasped for air and begged him to stop choking her. He pulled on the collar even harder, causing Miss Mangrove's voice to distort, and eventually she was gasping for breath. This sounds like attempted murder. He needs to be in prison. This is true. He continued to pull so intensely at the collar around her neck that Miss Mangrove heard the seams of her dress rip. While he GrAPed her, Dream scolded her, saying that she was difficult, that she did not respect him enough, and that he did everything for her. Now, during this ordeal, Miss Mangrove thought she would not survive the attack. Afraid for her life, clearly, because I would have been. Now, Miss Mangrove's mother did not witness this incident or the strangling, but she was concerned about her daughter. She said she felt she was losing her and was concerned about Dream. Miss Mangrove tried to assuage her mother's worry. She admitted that Dream had been sexually and physically aggressive, but lied to her mother by insisting that it had gotten better. How does that get better ever? If your child tells you that, how does it ever get better? I would have immediately been, oh my goodness, I would have been so livid. Dream's abuse was escalating to the point that it was becoming increasingly difficult to hide it from people as he was regularly flying into a rage over everything. Dream seemed obsessed over Miss Mangrove's alleged lack of gratitude and the fact that she refused to use her small advance to buy him, Garland, and others gifts and or hire his friend. The fact that Miss Mangrove said no to him was simply something that Dream could not get over. In early August of 2015, Dream told Miss Mangrove that he found her a manager named G. Robertson, who was a good friend of his, who managed Drake and Nicki Minaj. Now, Miss Mangrove was thrilled because she desperately wanted to find a way to put distance between her and Dream while fulfilling her contractual obligations to Contra. She thought that perhaps her new management could protect her. However, things continued to escalate. On or around August 15th of 2015, Dream told Miss Mangrove to meet him at the studio. Miss Mangrove went to Silent Studios, but Dream did not show up. The following day, Dream texted Miss Mangrove saying, I don't feel like we have the same interest of each other for each other, and I dropped something yesterday and waited on you and didn't hear a word. We had a good ride, but truthfully, I can't do it for you. and it's lopsided. What? Do you all hear this? Now, he didn't show up. She was supposed to meet him and he didn't show up. And the following day, he texted her saying, I don't feel like we have the same interest for each other. And I dropped something yesterday and waited on you and didn't hear a word, knowing good and darn well that he didn't even show up. We had a good ride, but truthfully, I can't do it for you, and it's lopsided. Miss Mangro responded that she was there and he never showed up. Dream said that he was at Red Zone Studio and that she should have known to ask which studio and not assumed it was Silent Studios. What? Wow, this is clearly the actions of a narcissist. Okay, they take no accountability, blame, or responsibility for anything. They will always blame it on the other person. Mental gymnastics, clearly. He then said, please end text after this and have whoever else contact me from now on. Thank you and good night. And you're welcome. He then continued, don't contact me about anything about this album. And if you want to have a respectful conversation with me, this is clearly a typo. Basically, when I get the time, but not right now. I'll let you know when I get the time, but not right now. That's what it should say. This is all crazy. Now, later that evening, Tricky texted Miss Mangro that she could come hang at the studio. Miss Mangro reported to Tricky, who was a partner at Contra, what Dream had been doing to her. Specifically, she stated that I haven't told you a lot, but I can't take it anymore. And I don't want the music to suffer because we do great things, but I can't do this roller coaster ride of threats and of ending the project if I don't please Dream or if I misunderstand something. So many times has he yelled at me for the littlest things. You're part of Contra Paris too, and I can't take it anymore. Tricky responded, oh, I'll speak to him. Soon thereafter, Miss Mangro left the Airbnb where Dream had put her up and booked a hotel room near the airport. She was terrified, but realized she needed to escape the months of fraud and violence that she had endured at Dream's hands. Now, Miss Mangro confided in Cartier, sharing with her by phone in August 17th of 2015, that Dream was sexually and emotionally abusive, had been violent with her, and was preventing her from finishing her record. At first, Cartier said that as a woman, she understood and would take care of Miss Mangro. Within the hour, however, Cartier had spoken to Dream. See, that's what I knew she was going to do. This is how you get, you don't have any allies very often, because just like with Diddy, none of these people wanted to come out and speak about Diddy. They didn't want to come out and agree with Cassie or whatever. A lot of these people who are so-called friends of his and who likely knew everything that was going on, okay, this is what happens. Their allegiance is to the person with the money, the power, and the control, not you. You're nobody to them. You're just somebody trying to come up. You can't help their career. You can't put money in their pockets, so they don't have any loyalty to you. Quite frankly, as far as the nefarious things that are happening to you at this time, well, in their mind, better you than them. This is all nefarious. So goes on to say, within the hour, however, Cartier had spoken to Dream and told Miss Mangro that she needed to figure out a way to work with Dream again, despite being told of the pattern of abuse Miss Mangro had endured. Miss Mangro then confided in Mark Stewart, Dream's manager, that Mark was sexually and physically abusive and that it had gotten increasingly worse and she needed help to get away from him. Mark seemed genuinely concerned about Miss Mangro's safety, but told Miss Mangro that it seemed like a personal problem and that he did not want to get involved. I know he didn't, because again, he's worried about his own coins and his own relationships. And also knowing that Dream has power and all of this money and stuff and has all these connections, and that he could get his career ruined if he ticks him off. Now, but of course, far from being exclusively a personal issue, Dream's abuse of Miss Mangro was part and parcel of his personal persona and his business of producing and writing music. Now, Miss Mangro reiterated to Mark that it was a dangerous situation and that she did not feel safe staying in the hotel, because Dream and Garland had such easy access to her. She also told Mark that for her own safety, she would no longer be alone in a room with Dream or Garland. So on or about August the 19th of 2015, Mark finally agreed that he would figure out a solution. The following day, he agreed to arrange a one-way plane ticket to Los Angeles under the excuse that Miss Mangro was meeting with Coulter. Now, the ticket was paid for by Epic. When Miss Mangro arrived in Los Angeles, she called Roberson to explain the abusive nature of the relationship with Dream. Roberson brought Gene Nelson and Jay Irving to the meeting. During the meeting, Roberson said that he would handle Dream and Irving would serve as Miss Mangro's day-to-day manager. On August the 21st of 2015, Miss Mangro then met with Coulter and again reiterated that Dream was abusive and controlling. Miss Mangro made clear that regardless of Dream, she was committed to completing the record and moving forward with her contract, but that she needed protection from him. Coulter informed Miss Mangro that Dream was withholding the music she recorded with him from Epic Records. Pursuant to the contract she signed, Miss Mangro was obligated to turn over music to Epic within a specific time frame. Now, Miss Mangro asked her new management and others at Epic for help intervening in the situation, retrieving her music, and extricating her record from Dream's grasp. For many months, Dream refused to meet with her, and even when he met with her management, he refused to turn over Miss Mangro's music. Having had her trust completely betrayed by Dream, she was very concerned that her management no longer had her best interest in mind. Now, indeed, in early November of 2015, Miss Mangro was finally scheduled to meet with representatives at Epic, including Reed in New York, to discuss the future of her album. Tricky, Sylvia Rohn, the then president of Epic Records, RBG, and a full marketing team were also present. Now, shortly before the meeting with Reed began, Dream texted Miss Mangro saying, "Oh, so you tried to play me? Okay, I'll leave you with this. That record is a mistake if you put it out. Don't ever say I didn't look out." Now, Miss Mangro had no idea what Dream meant, but knew that he did it to rattle her before her meeting with Reed. She did her best to ignore it and hold it together during the meeting. It was a pivotal moment in Miss Mangro's career. Much to her surprise, however, Irving was a no-show. Instead, he sent a young intern in his place. It was evident during the meeting that Reed found it offensive that Irving did not bother to show up for the meeting. Reed asked Miss Mangro where he was. She had no answer. Miss Mangro did her best to keep the meeting on track and reiterate how much she wanted to move forward and make the best record possible for Epic. She told Reed that she had worked for 10 years to get where she was, but that she was not getting any of her music from Dream and his team and did not know what to do. She confirmed that she wanted to move forward, but there was a problem standing in the way. Rohn and Reed both responded Dream at the same time. Reed then asked Tricky to speak to Dream about the situation. Now, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention because this is a problem. Now, the fact that when Dream first took her to meet with Reed in the initial meeting, the fact that he put his hand on her inner thigh right in front of them was setting up the stage, planting the seed to let them know that it's something personal going on here, something intimate is going on here. And with that all being said, it could look like to Epic that, hey, this is something that y'all going through because y'all were messing around, and that's unprofessional. And they could have viewed her as being unprofessional. Now, I don't know if that was the case, but that could have absolutely been the case. This is all so bad. So surprisingly, Tricky also voiced concerns during the meeting that Dream was taking Miss Mangro to sing songs that were not culturally appropriate based on her background. In particular, he mentioned that one of the songs references Miss Mangro and Rastas. Tricky told Reed that Miss Mangro had no say in what she was singing and that if she was found to be engaging in cultural appropriation, it would be an issue. Miss Mangro left the meeting believing that Reed and his team understood the situation with Dream and would help. At the time, Reed appeared to agree that they should move forward with other producers. Reed also gave Miss Mangro his direct phone number and told her to call if she needed anything. However, in early December of 2015, Irving suddenly told Miss Mangro that Reed wanted Dream to be involved in the record again. Miss Mangro was terrified at the prospect of having to record with Dream again, but told Irving that she was professional enough to do it if it required. Okay, if it was required. She asked Irving if he could do it, if he could at least try to arrange work with other producers first, with the hope that she would not be forced to work with Dream. Irving replied that they were ready to work with other producers, but that they needed to be careful about the situation with Dream because of the contracts that Miss Mangro had signed. Isn't that nothing? Contracts that she didn't even have a say in, contracts that she didn't even get to negotiate for herself. And there's never any mention of an attorney looking over these contracts either, mind you, except for the beginning when Dream was leading her on and stringing her along and telling her to make sure that she gets her attorney to look at this, that, and the third, only for him to take full control of everything. It was quite plainly a no-win situation for Miss Mangro. While she remained under contract with Dream via contract, he refused to send any music or schedule studio time. Miss Mangro spent the first few months of 2016 trying to figure out the next steps. She texted Coulter in late January and said, "I'm a little lost as to why I'm still not in the studio yet. It's been forever and I want to move forward. Do you know what it is? Is it because me and Dream had a dispute or something else? Last Sesh was in Atlanta in August." I think she meant the last session, That's what she's talking about. Yeah. The last session was in Atlanta in August, trying to get some clarity from all sides. Now, in February of 2016, Miss Mangro was told that Epic finally approved a budget for her to shoot a video for Married to the Game. Miss Mangro was never informed what the budget was or how it was approved. And when she pressed for that information, she was stonewalled. Miss Mangro told Irving to ensure that Dream and his team were copied on all communications related to the video shoot because she wanted to guarantee that she was abiding by her contractual obligations. Still trying to do the right thing after all of this, Irving, however, said that Dream refused to collaborate or respond, which delayed the process. Eventually, Irving said that he could not continue waiting for Dream to respond and had to move forward. As Irving said to Miss Mangro, Dream is already withholding music. We got to move now. Finally, in March of 2016, the video shoot for Married to the Game was scheduled. Miss Mangro immediately went to work figuring out the vision and the look for the video. She asked her manager or her management to always keep Dream in the loop, particularly because she still had no control over or say over the budget. Miss Mangro's management sent Dream the treatment for the video. He never responded or provided any input. On the day of the shoot, Irving once again did not show up. Miss Mangro was given a bag of generic clothes that did not fit the style of the shoot, and all of the vision boards that she created were ignored. The video was incredibly important to Miss Mangro's career. It was her moment to show Reed and Epic Records how she could be marketed to the world and to convince Epic to increase the recording budget so that she could get back into the studio. Whew, this is a lot. This is absolutely a lot. I want you all to pay attention. Okay, this is a 60-page lawsuit. Okay, so let me continue. Now, Dream called her to say he heard the video was terrible and said, "This is what you get when you don't listen to me. You got played." That's what he said. He said, "You got played." And remember what I told you guys on the Spiritual Channel today, that these people will often harshly criticize you to make you have a low sense of self and a low self-worth, to dampen your spirits and to make you feel bad about yourself, to make you feel like you don't deserve certain things. That's exactly what he was doing. He wasn't giving her constructive criticism. He was gloating, okay, in her downfall. Dirty devil. So in April of 2016, Miss Mangro flew to Los Angeles using her own money to do reshoots of the video because she cared so deeply about getting it right. A few weeks later, Irving confirmed to Miss Mangro that he sent the revised video to Reed and the Epic Records team. Now, in May of 2016, Irving told Miss Mangro that Reed loved the video. Miss Mangro was thrilled and said she was anxious to move things along. Now, also in early May 2016, Miss Mangro's product manager at Epic Records, Franz de los Reyes, texted her to say that the video was dope and that they were planning the premiere. However, Culture suddenly told Miss Mangro that Dream complained about the video, that nobody at Epic Records liked the video, and that she should have worked with Dream on the video. Miss Mangro was shocked and confused. She had little insight into why she was getting such mixed messages from those working with her at Epic, and had the sense that Dream was continuing to put up obstacles in her career. Of course, that's what he was doing, allegedly. Now, Miss Mangro pleaded with Culture to see what Dream was doing. He was playing games and creating roadblock after roadblock. Miss Mangro said again that her team spent 6 weeks reaching out to Dream about the video, sent him the treatment to the video, and he refused to respond. Now that it was complete, Dream was complaining simply to derail her career again. Culture, who knew about Dream's abuse, refused to provide any help or solution to Miss Mangro. Instead, she simply said that Miss Mangro needed to get on the same page as Dream for things to proceed. She also left unanswered Miss Mangro's repeated questions about who was in possession of her music, even though as her label, Epic should have been able to provide this information to her. Miss Mangro did not know where to turn. Irving, her manager, told her that Reed loved the video. Culture, who worked at Epic, told her that nobody at Epic liked the video. And Dream seemed to be taking great joy at the confusion and chaos it was causing. Here's the thing. How was she still using Irving as her manager when he missed 2 important meetings that were pivotal to her career and success? The manager is supposed to be working in your best interest, but it seems to me like he was working in Dream's best interest. And let's not forget that this man was Dream's friend. He was referred to her by Dream. Why would she trust anyone who was this man's friend? I would have wanted to go out and find my own manager as soon as I knew that this man had any type of ties to him. They were working in concert against her. That's exactly what it sounds like if this is all to be believed. So Miss Mangro pleaded with Culture to arrange a meeting with Reed to explain what happened and figure out how everyone could move forward. Reed, who had changed his phone number, was no longer directly reachable. Wow. And do you think that was coincidence? Now, on June 25th of 2016, Miss Mangro attended Epic Fest, a music festival showcasing artists signed to Epic Records label. Now, she hoped that would provide the opportunity to get in front of Reed for a discussion about next steps. Miss Mangro was scheduled to go to the festival with Irving, but just 30 minutes before she was supposed to leave, Irving said he was still in Las Vegas and would meet her there. See, this is the thing right here. Here he is again, standing her up. She should know this is all by design. She should have known that the first time he didn't show up to an important meeting. Now, and didn't even give her any heads up to let her know. She didn't even know what to tell L.A. Reid when he asked her, why is he not here? Miss Mangro was shocked but determined to go. While she was at Epic Fest, Dream called Miss Mangro and told her that Epic was washing their hands of her. Miss Mangro did not know what he was talking about and thought that he was simply trying to harass her. Honey, I would have believed it at that point, because at the end of the day, L.A. Reid's phone number's changed. You can't even get in touch with him. Nobody from there is reaching out to you. Miss Mangro then ran into Reed, Arbaji, or Baggy, whatever his name is, and called her. Miss Mangro asked Reed if they could talk. Reed responded by saying, "Hey, baby, maybe later. We got to go," and grabbed Arbaji and ran off. Wow. So giving her the cold shoulder in the runaround. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so Culture then looked at Miss Mangro with a smirk and said, "Talk to your manager. Why are you here? You're dropped. Irving should have talked to you already." Wow. Irving, despite stating that he would meet Miss Mangro at Epic Fest, never appeared. And you know what? That's very low down and dirty. But also, when Irving told her that they loved the video, he was clearly lying. Okay, he was clearly lying. Now, Miss Mangro was caught off guard and felt humiliated because she was slowly realizing that perhaps everyone knew something that she was never told. Miss Mangro then spoke to Roan and asked if she knew what Culture meant. Roan said that she had no idea and offered to look into it. Miss Mangro reached out to Irving as soon as possible. He admitted to her that he heard through the grapevine that she may be dropped by Epic. dropped by Epic. However, given that there was no official notification or anything more than a rumor, he did not want to bother Miss Mangro with the rumor. That's all so stupid. If you're my manager and you hear that I'm dropped, why wouldn't you tell me? That makes no sense. And he knew that it was true. That's why he didn't show up in the first place with his lying self. He did everything he could. This is all true. He did everything that he could to help Dream to destroy this woman's career. I'd be suing him too. He should be listening to the lawsuit as well. Now, goes on to say that on July the 15th of 2016, Miss Mangro got the official word that Epic no longer wanted to distribute her music because Dream failed to deliver the records. Arbergy told Miss Mangro that she was dropped because Contra failed to deliver the records and Dream was difficult to work with. And he was difficult on purpose. And why did L.A. Reid come back and say that they wanted him to be back in the production of her music if he was so difficult? None of this makes any sense. It just seems like they were all just conspiring against her to me. Now, yet nobody at any point sat down with Miss Mangro to discuss the situation with her. She was left in the dark throughout the entire process, despite both Contra and Epic having signed contracts and owing corporate responsibilities to her, and despite agents of both entities knowing that Miss Mangro had been the subject of Dream's violent and coercive manipulation, which they knew or should have known were predicated on fraudulent promises of record contracts, Grammys, and opening for Beyonce. To this day, Miss Mangro is in the dark about whether or not she is still bound to Dream and Contra Paris, who owns her music rights, or where the recordings of her work are located. Dream got what he wanted. He caused as much chaos and confusion with Epic that he caused so much chaos and confusion with Epic that they simply no longer wanted to deal with Miss Mangro, okay, who he had successfully duped into a fraudulent and coercive sexual relationship. It was a devastating blow to a young, talented artist that had done everything possible to survive the situation with Dream and move forward. Yet it became abundantly clear that Dream was only interested in an artist who was fully compliant with all of his demands. When Miss Mangro finally found the courage to stand up to him ever so slightly, he no longer found her to be worthy of his time and set out to ensure that nobody else would work with her either. Within a few weeks of Epic notifying her team that they did not want to proceed, Miss Mangro's management team dropped her as well. Not only did Dream ruin Miss Mangro's chance with Epic Records, he also ensured that she could not work for the next decade by refusing to officially release her from the contract. As a result, if she recorded music, she would be in breach of her contract, her Contra agreement. She begged to be released from Contra, but they continued to ignore her request. Honey, I would have been suing them a long time ago. When all this went down, I would have been in court right then and there, honey, okay? I would have been suing them. Now, Miss Mangro lost everything: her ability to work as an artist, her ability to work in the United States, and her ability to live a life free from the trauma that Dream inflicted. Miss Mangro's suffering following Dream's abuse and manipulation. That's the next topic, the next section. Now, Miss Mangro has not been the same since Dream's abuse and her experience with Contra and Epic, and she believes that the experience broke her as an artist and as a woman. When she finally understood the devastation Dream's actions caused, she lost her passion for music and life in general. She spent several years rarely leaving her house. Can you imagine the depression that she had to have been in? This is absolutely low down and dirty. Okay, just to know that and here's the thing. Now that all of this is coming out, and if it is in fact proven to be true, do you think that people like Beyonce, Rihanna, and all these other people who work with Dream and who get him to produce their music and write songs for them, do you think they're going to stop working with him? I'm pretty sure they won't. This is all so low down. Now, when Miss Mangro would try to sing, she would have flashbacks and panic would set in, and she just could no longer do what her entire life purpose had been previously. Dream's assaults, physical violence, and manipulation weighed on Miss Mangro for almost a decade. In late December of 2016, Miss Mangro's general practitioner referred her for treatment for anxiety and depression because she was suffering from panic attacks, insomnia, and lethargy. She could not speak about the abuse Dream inflicted until 2018, and then worked in therapy to attempt to get her life back. I almost drove this poor woman crazy. However, Miss Mangrove's life will never be the same. She lost a decade of her life due to Dream's abuse and the willingness of Contra, Epic, and Reed to look the other way. All of them should be listening to the lawsuit. I've been suing L.A. Reid too, okay, because I absolutely believe that he should be held accountable. She remains unable to engage in her work as a recording artist due to the pain and devastation she endured. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs as in fully set forth herein. Plaintiff is a victim of sex trafficking within the meaning of 18 USC statute 1591 A and B, and is therefore entitled to bring a civil action under 18 USC statute 1595. Okay, the defendant's acts and omissions taken separately and or together as outlined above constitute a violation of 18 USC statute 1595. Specifically, defendant Dream and Contra Paris perpetuated sex trafficking of Ms. Mangrove by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions, and all defendants benefited from Dream's venture by holding Ms. Mangrove, an artist signed with defendants Contra Paris and Epic Records, captive to Dream's demands and desires. At all relevant times, defendants participated in and facilitated the harboring and transportation of plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, and coercion. The defendant corporations have financially and otherwise benefited as a result of these acts and omissions by keeping Dream, the volatile and explosive owner of the defendant Contra Paris, and the influential and prolific songwriter for today's biggest stars, satisfied. They benefited from facilitating his behavior to the extent and kept their relationship with a talented musician viable and ensured continued profit from his work. And here's the thing. When Dream was trying to be so difficult on purpose and not releasing her music to Epic, he wasn't worried about them, saying that he was being difficult, because he knew that he was a valuable asset and that they're still going to work with him. He knew that they're only going to act as though or feel as though he's been difficult because of her. He knew that when he put his hand on her inner thigh in that meeting, that they're going to feel like, okay, this is just a lover's quarrel going awry. This is just something that they had going on that was unprofessional and out of the realm of the contracts in her career. And now this is what it's caused. So best to get rid of her and just keep working with Dream, because after all, he's not the problem. She willfully was having these relations with him. That's what they were likely thinking or viewing it as. That's probably how they saw it. So they felt like let's just get rid of her. We don't need her, but we need Dream, because after all, he's a big time producer, songwriter, and all of that. And he had a lot of control and a lot of contacts and all of those things. So this is all very, very nefarious. Now, Dream and defendants Contra Paris and Epic Records formed a venture as defined by 18 USC statute 1595, given that they constituted a group of two or more individuals associated in fact, whether or not a legal entity. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's unlawful conduct, as alleged herein above, plaintiff has ensured physical injury, severe emotional distress and anxiety, humiliation, embarrassment, post-traumatic stress disorder, economic harm, and other consequential damages. A plaintiff also seeks reasonable attorney's fees as provided under 18 USC statute 1595 section A. The second cause of action. Now, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs as it fully set forth herein. Defendant Dream committed a battery against plaintiff when he engaged in unlawful, intentional, and offensive touching or application of force to plaintiff's person when he forced her to engage in unprotected sex by restraining her movement after she said no. Plaintiff did not act freely and voluntarily, and the actions were against plaintiff's will as defined in California Penal Code Statute 243.4. As a result, Dream's alleged conduct, or a result of Dream's alleged conduct, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress, humiliation, embarrassment, anxiety, economic harm, and other consequential damages. The conduct of Dream described above was willful, wanton, and malicious. At all relevant times, Dream acted with conscious disregard for plaintiff's rights and feelings, acted with knowledge of or with reckless disregard for the fact that his conduct was certain to cause injury and or humiliation to plaintiff and intended to cause fear, physical injury and or pain and suffering to plaintiff. By virtue of the foregoing, plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages from DREAM according to proof at trial. This cause of action is timely under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, AB 2777, because it is based on conduct that occurred on or after January the 1st of 2009 and is commenced after January the 1st of 2019 and is thereby revised by California Code Civil Process Statute 340.16 sections B and 3. Third cause of action, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs as in fully set forth within. Defendant DREAM committed a GrAPE against plaintiff as defined in California Penal Code, as plaintiff was incapable of resisting because she was not aware, knowing, perceiving, or cognizant of the essential characteristics of the act due to defendant DREAM's fraudulent representation that the sexual penetration served a professional purpose when it served no professional purpose. As a result of DREAM's alleged conduct, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress, humiliation, embarrassment, anxiety, economic harm, and other consequential damages. The conduct of DREAM described above was willful, wanton, and malicious, and at all relevant times, DREAM acted with conscious disregard of plaintiff's rights and feelings, acted with knowledge of or with reckless disregard for the fact that his conduct was certain to cause injury and or humiliation to plaintiff and intend to cause fear, physical injury, and or pain and suffering to plaintiff. By virtue of the foregoing, plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages from DREAM according to proof at trial. This cause of action is timely under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act because it is based on conduct that occurred and the same dates, January the 1st of 2019, after and is commenced, occurred on or after January the 1st, 2009, and is commenced after January the 1st of 2019 and is thereby revised by the California Penal Code. And so prayer for relief. Wherefore plaintiff prays judgment be entered in her favor against defendants and for each of them as follows. Point A, for a money judgment representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earnings, and all other sums of money, together with interest on these amounts according to proof. Point B, for a money judgment for mental pain and anguish and severe emotional distress according to proof. Point C, for punitive and exemplary damages according to proof. D, for attorney's fees and costs. And E, for pre-judgment and post-judgment interest. And F, for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. Jury demand. Plaintiff hereby demands a trial by jury on all issues of fact and damages stated herein. And this is dated June the 4th of 2024. Whew, that was a lot. That was absolutely a lot. Absolutely nefarious. So what do you all have to say about all of this? Israelite said a certified dirtbag. Absolutely, that's what he sounds like. These things are to be believed. Now you absolutely believe it. I absolutely believe it. Everybody's not making all these stuff up, all these things up about people and having the same allegations. Okay, I just absolutely don't believe it. This is also wicked. It is all so wicked. I just want you all to pay attention. Honey, this live was over 3 hours. That's how long the documents were. Jay Gray said, I wish I could be on that jury. I wish I could too. Queen Sam said, darn near too much. Okay. Nessa G said, they're all monsters. We the people said, we appreciate you, Queen. I know y'all do. I appreciate you all too. Y'all don't work me. Don't be surprised if y'all don't see me in the morning. I'll be here. Pay attention. RG Titan said, every one of those demons is getting exposed this year. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Wow. This was really something. And now I see why they had a trigger warning on there. Now I see why there was a trigger warning. Okay? Gigi Sounds Geechee says, and you know he's connected to Jay-Z. This might be the bridge. Exactly. Because, in fact, he did tell her that he was so close to Beyonce and all of this. And so definitely close to Jay-Z as well. Absolutely. This is all crazy. At the end of the day, yeah, I can't wait to see how this all turns out, but I'm about to do a TikTok on this now. So everyone, please like and share. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Mr. Elevation said, this fool and Dream were, hold on. This fool is worse than Trump, Diddy Trump. Okay, and then Darius says, Diddy and Dream were consummated in hell. Okay, Songwriter Sonny said, Jay-Z needs his lips bashed up and down in a studio motel, LOL. This is all crazy. Okay. Desi Dad said, I need a nerve pill after that. I do too, beloved. Okay. It's a whole lot. You're welcome, Darius. Thank you, beloved. So with that all being said, Duranda said, Cat Williams said all lies will be exposed. Absolutely. Michael M said, more great information, Queen. Thank you. You're welcome, beloved. Okay. So listen, Felicia said, Queen, you the goat of news. Thank you, beloved. Okay. So with that all being said, Kamini said, yes, I'm here for it. Okay. So listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay. Now, I know I said that I was going to post something on the backup channel, on the spiritual channel for members only. So that will likely be early in the morning, okay? Because now I'm going to do a TikTok and then I'm done for the day. All right? I'm exhausted, just so you know. All right? So everyone enjoy the rest of this day. And don't remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. I mean, if we ever need the Most High, it is right now. With all the wicked and nefarious things going on in the world, with all these people just being exposed for filth. And it's really crazy because so many regular, everyday people like us look up to these people and hold them in high regard. And, you know, just think so much of them, but only to find out this is who some of them really are. Okay. And who they've always been, like Diddy, for example. All right. So with that all been said, I love you all to life. I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why